apart from being in other professions. You are welcome to, I acknowledge your presence, and please continue to come here to see the debate that is generated here, and how you too, in the schools where you carry out debates, you can emulate what is going on here. Thank you, and we shall see you at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Statements. The first one, member for Suna West, Peter Masara, to make a personal statement regarding the demise of his son, and we give you, like we did, our collective condolences.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to provision of Standing Order number 442E, I wish to make a personal statement regarding the untimely passing of my beloved son, Hilary Masese. Mr. Speaker, no parent is ever truly prepared.
Raise your voice a bit.
No parent is ever truly prepared to bury a child. The death of my son unsettled a sacred order of life, leaving behind a gap that no word can truly fill. Hilary Masese was not only my dear son, but a friend. To many, and a light to our family. Where the loss was deeply personal, the grief was widely shared. I felt that I did not walk this painful journey of 10 months and 17 days visiting ICU alone. Members of Parliament visited, called, prayed, and stood with me. I was comforted by the warmth, the solidarity, and the compassion extended to me and my family. Was comforted the warmth and solidarity and compassion extended to me by my colleagues in the Honorable House, friends across the country, Hilary's colleagues at Kenyatta National Hospital, and the people whom I have the honor of serving, the great people of Suna West. Even as we continue to mourn Hilary's passing, we also celebrate his life. I take solace in knowing that he now rests in eternal peace. Honorable Speaker, I take this opportunity to sincerely thank each one of you who stood with me and my family, those who visited, called, contributed in one way or the other towards the dignified send-off of Hilary. I also wish to acknowledge the strong support from the people of my constituency, colleagues, neighbors, friends, the business community, and religious leaders who relied around me. I must sincerely thank this House for offering me the shoulder to lean on at my hour of need, led by the Right Honorable Speaker himself, the honorable members of the National Assembly, and the senators. The emotional, physical, and generous financial support are the reason I stand strong before you today. Honorable Speaker, I cannot fail to thank the religious leaders from all denominations who stood with my family in prayers and spiritual support. Though Hilary's time with us was brief, his impact was lasting. I stand before this House today stronger because of the kindness extended to my family. For every call, every visit, every prayer, every contribution, I say thank you. May Masese's soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And by extension, I want to thank our whips who were really mobilized members for contribution. Honorable Ivo Bara, Honorable Pasaris, Honorable Elachi, on Lesuda, and my committee members, the Committee of Budget Committee and Committee of Administration and Internal Security, and all members. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and let Hilary's soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Peter Masara. Next, Ibrahim Sane.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding disappearance of Mr. Hussein Abdirahman Mohammed. Honorable Speaker, Mr. Hussein Abdirahman Mohammed of ID number 2672739 is a resident of Wajir County and was serving as the manager of Wajir Huduma Center. He disappeared on Tuesday, 8th July 2025, having been last seen attending an official function presided over by the Cabinet Secretary for Public Service and Human Capital Development. Since the event, he has never returned home, and despite numerous efforts by his family to trace or contact him, his whereabouts remain unknown to date. This unexplained disappearance has caused great anxiety among his family members, colleagues, and the wider community. He was a dedicated and committed civil servant. Therefore, his sudden absence raises concern and alarm across the constituency. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following. 1, a report on the status of investigations into the disappearance of Mr. Hussein Abdirahman Mohammed. 2, the measures taken by the government to ensure that Mr. Hussein Abdirahman Mohammed is found and reunited with his family. And finally, the steps being taken to enhance the safety and security of residents in Wajir North constituency, including measures by security agencies to promptly investigate and resolve cases of missing persons. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Kainan, you want to joyride?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Hussein, I want to thank the Honorable Senate for bringing this statement. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Hussein Abdirahman, who is also nicknamed Hussein Moy, is a manager or was a manager of Wajir Huduma Center, very senior officer. Mr. Speaker, to date, almost a month, even the ministry, the line ministry, the department, and all the other concerned individuals in the government have not even attempted to brief the public. Mr. Speaker, in addition to the statement by the Honorable Senate, allow me also to request the chairman, Mr. Speaker, because this is a very senior public servant. Mr. Speaker, we do not know the circumstance. The last time he was seen is when he reported to work, and yet, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Public Works, the Ministry of Public Service, the Public Service Commission, the Huduma Directorate, none of these entities have made an attempt even to say this is what they are trying to look at, Mr. Speaker. Meaning, therefore, it's like an assumption has been made. Mr. Speaker, I want to request the chairman, in addition to the statement here, to find out the report that has been made by the family in Wajir, whether that report has been investigated, and if it has been investigated, is it the Wajir police? Is it the Wajir CID? Is it the CID headquarters here? And what is the summary investigation of this officer who has been missing, Mr. Speaker? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Jeho, 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to add my voice to this particular issue. We are missing a particular officer who works for the government, a very senior officer, Mr. Speaker. We feel like the police are not doing their work. Mr. Speaker, we are asking the police officers, the authorities involved, to bring this particular person, whether dead or alive. Thank you.
Tongoyo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you quite understand that we have a backlog of many unresponded statements. And given the urgency of the matter, I know this is a civil servant who's gone missing in Wajir, and this is the county that we still had the MCA who disappeared or got missed for quite some time. I may not give a comprehensive, Honorable Speaker, but maybe, Honorable Speaker, if you'll allow, you give me maybe on Thursday to do a preliminary one as we wait a comprehensive report, respond. Thursday, next week. Yes.
Thank you. There's one or two members. Naisula, who approached the chair. Naisula.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise on a point of order. I had asked a statement to the chairperson of Energy in regards to frequent blackouts in Maralal Town, Samburu West constituency, Mr. Speaker. That was before we went on recess. As we speak now in Maralal, for the last 2 days, Mr. Speaker, and even today when it has come back, there's low voltage. Mr. Speaker, I would like the chairperson of Energy to respond to that statement and to take this matter very seriously, because the people of Maralal deserve to have electricity and frequently. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair, Energy. Any member from that committee? Majority Leader? There's a protestation from Naisula that she requested for a statement on incessant blackouts in Maralal that has never been responded to for a little while. Can you instruct the chairman of Energy to bring a response on Wednesday morning?
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I'm aware the chairman and the vice chair were engaged in another meeting with the ministry, both Gekaria and Honorable Aramat, and I will get that information to them.
Thank you. Naisula?
Speaker for that direction and also Majority Leader for that commitment, but which Wednesday? Tomorrow?
Wednesday. Today is Wednesday.
So, no, I wanted today, later.
Today we have, I said Wednesday morning. We're definitely past morning. So it's next Wednesday morning, Naisula. Yes, Honorable Kainan.
Mr. Speaker, I also requested for a statement from the chairperson of the Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation, sometimes back on 9th April, Mr. Speaker. And
on
today,
9th?
April,
yes,
this year. It's quite some times. And this was a very important issue, Mr. Speaker, regarding the status of water and sewerage system in Wajir Town. And Mr. Speaker, you are aware we are the only county that use bucket latrines donated to us by the Italian war prisoners, Mr. Speaker, Second World War prisoners in 1939. I really want to plead with the chairman to give us an answer, however difficult it might be, and I know it's very difficult, to bring an answer as soon as possible.
Chairman, Water and Blue Economy. Any member? Any member of Water and Blue Economy? Majority Leader? Similarly, tell Honorable Kangoko Bowen to bring a response to Kainan on Wednesday morning next week.
Most obliged.
Honorable members, allow me to acknowledge in the Speaker's Gallery Transcend High School from Cherangany in Nandi. I didn't know there is Cherangany in Nandi. Clerk, is this correct? Cherangany is in Trans Nzoia. So you've written Cherangany Nandi. Be that as it may, Transcend High School from Cherangany, Kaundu Secondary School from Mwingi North Kitui, and in the public gallery, Omama Academy from Bobasi, Kisii, and Kipletito Comprehensive School from Aldai, Nandi. On my behalf and on behalf of the House, We welcome the students, their teachers, and those accompanying them to the House of Parliament. Next order. Yes, Gonzarai.
Statement which was supposed to be responded by the Chairman, Interior.
Sorry. You heard?
A statement which was supposed to be responded by Chairman of Interior about the abduction of Charomai, 16th of July, 2024.
Interior Chair, are you ready?
Speaker, I did commit to give a preliminary one tomorrow, Thursday.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
So we are still within time.
So Gonzarai be here tomorrow. Njeri Maina. Order, Njeri, you can't do that. While Njeri is finding her way, Omulher Harun. Yeah. Yes. Tongoyo, these are responses. Are you ready for Njeri?
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, I'm ready.
And Omulher?
Yeah, I do.
So go ahead, give Njeri's first. Njeri, take your seat and be orderly and listen to your response.
It's a long one, but I'll try to rush through. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Member for Kirinyaga, Honorable Jane Njeri, had sought a statement regarding incidents of human trafficking in the country. And in particular, he wanted to know measures put in place by the government to strengthen the enforcement and operationalization of the Counter Trafficking in Person Act, including and plan to address the emerging gaps in legislation, policy, and implementation. Secondly, action taken to safeguard Kenya's porous borders to curb the entry and exit of human traffickers and their victims. And thirdly, to safeguards established to ensure the safety and the well-being of Kenyans seeking employment opportunities abroad. Honorable Speaker, I respond as follows. In question number 1, Honorable Speaker, the following measures have been put in place to strengthen enforcement and operationalization of the Counter Trafficking in Person Act 2010. The National Police Service actively monitors recruitment agency to prevent their involvement in the human trafficking in collaboration with the Ministry of Labor and the National Employment Authority. The frequent inspections are done to ensure all agencies operate in compliance with established legal and ethical standards. The NPS established the Anti-Human Trafficking and Child Protection Unit within the Director of Criminal Investigation, and this unit works in coordination with the Border Police Unit and other security agencies to identify and dismantle the trafficking network operating across the border points. In collaboration with the NIS, the NPS conduct intelligence-driven operation to identify and apprehend traffickers and rescue victims from trafficking syndicates. The officers assigned to the border areas receive specialized training to recognize and trafficking patterns, manage victims appropriately, and understand legal procedures in line with the Counter Trafficking in Person Act. The government is intensifying border checks, increasing vigilance to deter and arrest suspicious individuals involved in the act. The Kenya collaboration with the East African community and international organizations such as International Organization for Migration to implement the cross-border and the trafficking strategies. The authorities are actively mapping out suspected non-gazetted and porous routes used by these cartels and conduct community sensitization forum like barastas so that the public gets sensitized. And Honorable Speaker, the government is reinforcing collaboration among law enforcement, migration, and labor departments to identify and disrupt trafficking operation and networks effectively. The NPS, in conjunction with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, is enhancing mechanism for victim protection. These include ensuring clear case reporting procedures and safeguarding victims after they come forward. On the other question, Honorable Speaker, measures taken to address the emerging gaps in combating human trafficking. While the Counter Trafficking in Person Act 2010 remain a cornerstone of a legal framework, the government is actively reviewing and updating the legislation to address evolving challenges, including the rise of the online child sexual exploitation. And the trafficking innovations are being mainstreamed into the border and national policy framework, and notably the National Plan of Action on Online Child Sexual Exploitation incorporates measures to combat emerging form of trafficking. To strengthen the on-the-ground impact, the government is implementing the National Plan of Action along the National Referral Mechanism, and this framework are designed to enhance coordination and ensure consistent application of anti-trafficking efforts across all levels. The operationalization of the Data Protection Act 2019 will enhance secure ethical collection, sharing, and analysis of data related to human trafficking, enabling better monitoring of the trends and informed decision-making. The ongoing training and capacity building program for the law enforcement agencies, frontline responders, and other key stakeholders remain essential to closing implementation gaps and ensuring effective response to both traditional and emerging form of trafficking. On the third one, Honorable Speaker, the following measures have been taken to safeguard the porous border. Joint investigation teams, operating centers have been set up to facilitate intelligence gathering, information sharing among border control agencies. And this initiative aims to enhance investigative compatibilities and promote effective multi-agency collaboration at key border points. Technological tools such as integrated custom management system, that is ICMS, and biometric systems are being utilized to data irregular movements and strengthen surveillance at borders. These systems enhance efficiency and improve the ability to identify potential trafficking activities. Targeted training programs have been implemented for border and airline personnel, notably the IOM, in partnership with the Kenya Airways, has conducted training to equip staff with the skills needed to identify and assist victims of human trafficking. The border management system has been established at selected border point, transforming them into one-stop shop for the clearance of travelers, goods, and services. The BMS operate under a multi-agency framework, bringing together various government agencies to streamline and coordinate border operations. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, the following safeguards have been established to ensure the safety and well-being of Kenyans seeking employment opportunities abroad. The National Police Service monitors recruitment agencies suspected of engaging in fraudulent or exploitative practices in collaboration with the Ministry of Labor, and they also do frequent inspection to ensure all agencies operate in compliance with established legal and ethical standards. The Labor Migration Desk has been set up at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and Moi International Airport to support migrant workers by providing guidance and assistance with the pre-departure procedures. And in accordance with the Interpol and Kenya Foreign Mission, the National Police Service plays a critical role in locating and repatriating Kenyans victims of trafficking. Upon their return, victims are supported through reintegrated effort, often in partnership with Ngao and safe shelters. NPS is responsible for instigating an arraignment in court of individuals or entities involved in illegal recruitment practices. And these include cases involving false job promises, confiscation of travel documents, and coercion linking to human trafficking. In collaboration with the key partners, the NPS conduct awareness campaign to educate the public and the warning signs of fraudulent recruitment processes and suspicious agency, helping prevent exploitation and trafficking. And of course, Honorable Speaker, the hotline from the DCI, the toll-free number has always been provided so that the victim can report such suspected victims. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Jerry. Honorable Jerry Minor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My apologies, Honorable Speaker. When you called me, I was on the other side of the aisle. Honorable Tiende mentioned that there is someone who needs to be disciplined by the Powers and Privilege Committee, which is apparently my new committee since yesterday. And I was soliciting for future suspects and attendees of that committee, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I appreciate the very detailed response by the committee chaired by Honorable Tongoyo And perhaps, Honorable Speaker, what is missing from his response is whether the government is going to conduct a fresh vetting of all travel agencies, because majority of Kenyans are being exploited by travel agencies as they seek employment opportunities abroad. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Tongoyo, that's as a compliment to your...
Yeah, it is, Honorable Speaker, although in the questions it was not included, but I think it's also not a bad thing to consider.
Can you now respond to Umulher Harun?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. In regards to the response to
is
the
Umulher
statement...
in the House? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, the statement being sought by the nominated member, Honorable Harun, regarding the disappearance of one Mr. Abdirizak Mohamed Yale. And in particular, she wanted to know the status of investigation of the disappearance of the said person, measures that the ministry is taking to ensure that the missing person is found and reunited, and generally the measure be taken to apprehend and arraign before the court the perpetrators. Honorable Speaker, I state as follows. On the 30th September 2023, Mr. Aden Ali reported the disappearance of his cousin, Mr. Abdikazak Mohamed Yale, who indicated that he resided in South Sea area in Nairobi County together with two cousins. On the 29th September same year, he left for work in the morning, leaving behind his cousins who were still asleep. Upon returning home later that day, he found that they were not present. He initially assumed that they had gone to a local Islamic religious school located on the Sugura Road, South Sea, where both taught Islamic religion classes. When the two failed to return home that evening, he became concerned and proceeded to make a missing person report at Nairobi West Police Station via OB number 143009 of 2023. The incident was referred to Akila Police Station, and a missing person description and details were circulated in all border points, police stations, and division within the country via a signal Rev .org 5/2/14 volume 1.1068. Additionally, a request to obtain the call data record of the missing person mobile number was made to the service provider Safaricom to assist in identifying the last contact person that the victim communicated with. From the results, it was established that the victim's phone number was switched off within South Sea area, and the victim had neither called anyone nor received any call on that material day. After the 26 days of her disappearance, the Mohamed Yale returned and stated that on the 29th September, while walking with his brother in Nairobi West area, unknown individuals abducted them by covering their heads with sacks and bundling them into a Probox Matatu motor vehicle, which drove for a short distance before stopping. Then they were then transferred into another vehicle, which took them to another unidentified location where they were reportedly tortured. Hamid claimed he was later given 1,000 and released at a known location within Nairobi with a stern warning not to disclose the incident, what had happened to him, and to leave Nairobi within 3 days. He took a motorcycle to Isli and eventually found his way back to South Sea. Upon further interrogation, he stated that he did not know the whereabouts of his brother, Abdikadir Mohamed Yale. In compliance with the abductor's instruction, Hamid left for Garissa 3 days after his return and has remained there to date. He indicated that due to the trauma he experienced, he is unwilling to return to Nairobi. Since the circulation of the missing person signal, no information has ever been received to assist the police in tracing the whereabouts of Adhan Nur Hassan. The case is pending under investigation. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, the case is pending under investigation, and the police will update the family of any new development in regards to whereabouts of Mr. Adhan Nur Hassan. And the last one, so far, no leads to the whereabouts of the missing person and the suspect has been established. The case remains pending under investigation. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Harun. Hey, boss.
Thank you, Speaker. I also want to thank the chair of the committee. And on behalf of the committee, I appreciate that detailed report. But I'm a bit concerned because I have sat down with the families of Abdirizak Yale. I was actually with the father yesterday, and Ahmed, who was abducted alongside his brother in 2023. And as the report indicated, it's accurate. Ahmed detailed his story back to me, and he was released after 23 days. He was given 1,000 shillings by the police. So if it's already obvious that the police abducted Ahmed and they released him, Ahmed was with the brother, Abdirizak, as well. And Abdirizak is still missing till date. So the report from the committee says that the police are not aware of where Abdirizak is, and I find that a bit unsatisfactory. I wish for the committee to relook into it so that they're able to give a bit of reprieve to this particular family. Mr. Speaker, I was with that family yesterday, and the father is very distressed, and we really appreciate if the security personnel can give us quick feedback on this matter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Tongoyo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And as well as I did state in the last paragraph of the statement, it's true that the investigation is still ongoing, and understand the pain, frustration of the member and, of course, the family. And I want to promise Honorable Speaker, that the police are going to do anything possible to locate the missing person and continuously giving update reports to the family and the concerned member.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable members, allow me to acknowledge in the Speaker's Gallery, Siana Girls High School from Narok West, Narok, Mariani Primary from Igambangombe, Tarakanithi, and Nyekini Primary School from Kitui, Central Kitui. On my behalf, on behalf of the House, I welcome the students, their teachers, and those accompanying them to the House of Parliament. Next order.
Order number 10, motion. Approval of the mediated version of the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023.
Yes, Kwenya. Are you the one moving this? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that pursuant to provisions of Article 113(2) of the Constitution and Standing Order number 153, this House adopts the report of the Mediated Committee on Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023, laid to the table of the House on Tuesday, 1st July 2025, and approves the mediated version of the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023. By the way of introduction, Mr. Speaker, the Gambling Control Bill 2023 seeks to establish a comprehensive legal framework for the regulation of gambling in Kenya, with specific emphasis on incorporating safe gambling principles within the sector. Additionally, the bill seeks to establish the Gambling Regulatory Authority of Kenya, which shall bear the responsibility of licensing and regulating the gambling sector. Honorable Speaker, the National Assembly passed the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023 on 6 December 2023, and forwarded the same to the Senate for concurrence pursuant to the provisions of Standing Orders number 144 and Article 110 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, the Senate considered the bill and passed it with amendments on 8th October 2024 and referred it back to the National Assembly for consideration in accordance with Article 112 of the Constitution. The Senate proposed to amendments to clause 5, 7, 10, 11, 28, 31, 64, 66, 69, 71, 79, clauses 87, 119, 123, and the third schedule. Further, the Senate proposed new clauses 57A, clause 63A, 66A, 82A, and 117A. Honorable Speaker, the National Assembly considered the Senate amendments to the bill and rejected all the amendments due to contravention with the Constitution principles of origination of bills, as well as need for further amendments to the proposed Senate amendments. The Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 148B, the National Assembly Standing Orders, the Speaker of the National Assembly conveyed a message to the Speaker of the Senate on the resolution by the National Assembly to reject the bill as amended by the Senate. The Speaker then referred the bill to a mediation committee under Article 113 of the Constitution, and in so doing, appointed 9 members of the National Assembly to the mediation committee to consider the bill. Mr. Speaker, on 19th March 2025, pursuant to Standing Order number 166 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Speaker of the Senate conveyed a message to the National Assembly on the appointment of 9 senators to sit in the mediation committee. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Article 113 of the Constitution, the mediation committee was required to attempt to develop a version of the bill that both houses would pass. The mediation committee was confined to considering only the clauses under contention, which were the clauses proposed to be amended by the Senate. Honorable Speaker, permit me to give a highlight of the deliberations on the mediation committee, with particular attention to the clauses considered by the committee. The committee reviewed the Senate's proposal to expand county government function in gambling, including developing legislation and issuing licenses. It noted that the bill already addresses the shared regulation by assigning licensing to the National Authority and trade permits to county governments. As a result, the committee retained Clause 5 as originally drafted and recommended amending Clause 2 to clarify or to clearly define a license and trade permit. Honorable Speaker, the committee considered the Senate amendment to Clause 7, which sought to amend the composition of the board of the Gambling Regulatory Authority. The committee resolved to retain the Attorney General's membership in the board, as well as to increase the number of representatives of the Council of Governors from 1 to 2 persons. The committee noted that these amendments would ensure meaningful representation both by persons who are not public officers and county government representation while maintaining manageable board size that conforms to the recommendations of Mwongozo Code of State Corporations. Honorable Speaker, the committee considered the Senate Amendment Clause 10, which sought to remove licensing from authority involve counties in machine legislation, require disclosure of gambling company beneficial owners, as well as establish tax compliance system. The committee resolved to retain licensing as a mandate of the authority, provide for the establishment of registers in both the national and county governments, and provide for due diligence checks on beneficial owners of companies so as to ensure transparency and accountability. Honorable Speaker, the committee considered the Senate amendment to Clause 11, which sought to introduce new subsections providing for the power of Cabinet Secretary to grant or revoke remote platform authorization. The committee resolved that there was need to provide a definition of remote platform authorization in the definition section, as well as to provide that the Cabinet Secretary shall have the power to prescribe guidelines on remote platform authorization. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Committee considered the Senate Amendment Clause to Clause 28, which sought to remove the power of the authority to issue licenses to key gambling employees and media promotions. The committee resolved that it was necessary to retain these provisions in the bill so as to conform with the international best practices, which provides for the licensing of key gambling employees. The committee considered the Senate amendment to Clause 31, which sought to extend the validity period of gambling licenses from 12 months to 36 months. The committee resolved to increase the validity period of an operating license to ensure ease of doing business and to align the bill with National Lottery Act number 20 of 2023, which provides for 7-year license for annual lottery operator. Honorable Speaker, the committee considered the proposed new clause 57A, 63A, and 66A and 82A, which sought to introduce lottery tax, betting tax, gaming tax, and prize competition tax, respectively. The committee noted that in terms of Article 109, sub-Article 5 of the Constitution, a money bill may be introduced only in the National Assembly. The committee further noted that inasmuch as the bill proposes to repeal the existing betting, Lottery and Gaming Act, Clause 121(6) of the bill provides that the provisions of betting tax, lottery tax, gaming tax, and prize competition tax shall continue to be in force. The committee therefore resolved that the new clauses as proposed by the Senate should not be part of the bill. Honorable Speaker, the committee considered the Senate amendment to Clause 64, which sought to reduce the minimum amount of a single bet in a casino machine from 20 shillings to 1 shilling. The committee noted that the amount of 1 shilling as a minimum bet amount was not practical, noting that this would be seen as an encouragement to gambling, and further noting that the intention of bill was to regulate gambling and so as a social vice. The committee therefore resolved to retain the minimum betting amount of 20 shillings as contained in the bill. The committee further considered the Senate amendment to Clause 66, which sought to provide that in addition to the authority, the county government shall also ensure that their officers are present in casinos for purposes of ensuring compliance. The mediation resolved to retain Clause 66 as contained in the bill to ensure that the responsibility for financial reporting and anti-money laundering compliances rests with the national government as provided in law. Honorable Speaker, the committee considered the Senate amendment to Clause 69, which sought to provide that an online gambling transaction shall commence at the time of deposit of money into the gaming account and shall conclude at the time withdrawal of money from a gaming account. The committee resolved to carry amendment as proposed by the Senate, noting that the amendment was in alignment with the provisions of Excise Duty Act, Cap 472. Honorable Speaker, the committee considered Clause 71, which sought to reduce the penalty for the offense of permitting online gambling for an amount of less than 20 million from above 5 million shillings to 50,000 shillings, to above 50,000 shillings. The committee noted that while a fine of not less than 5 million may be too punitive, a lower limit of 50,000 may be too lenient, given the substantial profits realized in the online gambling sector. The committee therefore resolved to amend the bill to provide for a penalty of 3 million shillings. The committee considered further the amendment of Clause 79, which sought to remove the requirement that the foreign gambling operator be licensed in Kenya. They must intend to carry on the online gambling businesses in Kenya, as well as exempt foreign gambling operators from the requirements for licensing at gambling security as contained in the bill. The committee noted that allowing foreign gambling operators to apply for licenses would lead to increased revenue for the authority in the form of license fees paid by the foreign gambling operators, but such gambling operators would be required to comply with the provisions of the Act Cap 486 in relation to the registration of foreign companies. The committee therefore resolved to retain the requirement of gambling security in respect of foreign gambling companies or operators. Honorable Speaker, the committee further considered amendment to clause 87, which sought to remove the restriction of gambling advertisement between 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. unless it is done in a live sporting event. The amendment further sought to reduce the penalty for the offense of contravening the provisions of the advertisement of gambling from 20 million to 1 million shillings and imprisonment from 20 years to 1 year. The committee noted that the objective of the restriction on the hours of gambling advertisement is to discourage gambling, which is a social vice. Removing restriction from the bill would lead to the unregulated advertisement airtime on television, which would subsequently increase the social vice. The committee further noted that the penalty proposed by the Senate for contravention of the gambling advertisement is. Committee therefore resolved to retain the provision as contained in the bill. Mr. Speaker, the committee reviewed the Senate's proposed clause 117A to restrict gambling premises operating hours to between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. The committee found the proposal would not be practical, as online gambling would remain accessible 24 hours, 7 days a week, creating an unfair regulatory environment. Consequently, the committee resolved not to include the clause in the bill. Mr. Speaker, the committee further considered amendment to clause 119 by the Senate, which sought to remove the conduct of the National Lottery and National Lottery rules from among the matters which the Cabinet Secretary shall have power to make regulations. The committee noted that the bill seeks to make the gambling regulatory authority the main regulator of all gambling activities by empowering it to set standards and norms. Therefore, the amendment proposed by the Senate was not necessary. The committee therefore resolved to retain the clause as contained in the bill. Mr. Speaker, the committee considered also clause 123 of the amendment that was proposed by the Senate, which sought to amend the Income Tax Act, the Excise Duty Act, to provide for tax exemptions on gambling activities. The committee noted that Article 109, Sub-Article 5 of the Constitution, provides that a money bill may be introduced only in the National Assembly. Therefore, the amendment proposed by the Senate were in contravention of the constitutional provision. The committee therefore resolved to retain the clause as contained in the bill. The committee considered the Senate amendment to the third schedule, which sought to reduce the security required in respect to online gambling and national lottery from 200 million shillings to 20 million shillings. The committee noted that while the National Assembly provision requiring 200 million shillings and gambling security may be considered too high, the Senate proposed reduction to 20 million shillings would be inadequate given the scale and potential impact of these operations. The committee therefore resolved to amend the bill to provide for the amount of 100 million shillings as gambling security in respect of online gambling and national lottery. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, permit me to thank the members of the Mediation Committee for their efforts in developing a version of gambling control bill that not only gives effect to the constitutional principles of devolution, but will also lead to the establishment of a comprehensive legal framework to regulate the gambling sector in Kenya. Finally, Honorable Speaker, I urge this House to adopt the report of the mediated committee and approve the mediated version of the gambling control bill as contained in the order paper. I take note that this bill presents a comprehensive and a modernized approach to the regulation of gambling in Kenya. It aims to balance the economic benefits of the industry which injects the much needed revenue into the country, into the economy, which at the same time, protecting consumers and preventing social harm in our society. The mediated version of the bill is attached to the order paper. I beg to take, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and take this opportunity to request the Honorable Leader of Majority, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, to second. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. Before the Leader of Majority seconds, allow me to interrupt the business of the House to welcome students that we have in the public gallery this afternoon. St. Paul's Gatinda Primary School from Runyenjes constituency, Embu County. Kiambuthia Secondary School, Madhioya constituency, Murang'a. Ruyobe Primary School from Rongai constituency, Nakuru County. Chungor Comprehensive constituency, Elgeyo Marakwet. And in the Speaker's Gallery still, we have Kapsabet Girls High School, Mgwen, Nandi County. And on behalf of all of us, I will give 1 minute to the member, Honorable Didmas Wekesa, whose daughter is a scholar in Kapsabet Girls. A minute to welcome all of them on all of our behalf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to welcome our students in the National Assembly of Kenya, and most particularly, Honorable Madam Speaker, Kapsabet Girls, where my firstborn daughter is sitting Form 4 this year. And I am not only elated to welcome all the students, but most particularly very happy that my firstborn daughter can now understand where I come every day, why at times I'm absent from home, is because of the call of duty of enacting various laws in our country. And I also take this time, Madam Speaker, to appreciate the teachers of our country who are not only preparing our students to pass the exams, but they are modeling them to be model Kenyans, to be good citizens, so that they can take this country to the next frontier. I take this opportunity on behalf of all the members of Parliament to welcome all of them. Feel free in the National Assembly. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
I was going to say we sit for 3 days in a week, but I welcome all the scholars that are here to observe the proceedings of the House. Leader of Majority, second your motion. Honorable Naisula and Honorable Kororia. That Kamukunji is illegal. Let us hear the Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second this motion for approval of the mediated version of the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023. Honorable Speaker, I will not delve into all the specific clauses since the mover of the bill. The Honorable Kwenya has already done that. And on behalf of the Sports Committee and members of the Mediation Committee, Honorable Speaker, allow me first to thank all the members of this House who have sat in that Mediation Committee and those from the other House in the Senate, because it was a painstaking process to be able to agree on many contentious issues, Honorable Speaker, to make sure that we have a Gambling Control Act if this bill is passed today and becomes an act of Parliament, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this bill, when it came to this House, we sent it to the Senate because there were certain provisions attached on county governments, Honorable Speaker, because the gambling or betting control, Honorable Speaker, is a shared function between the national government and our county governments. And therefore, in line with the fourth schedule of our Constitution, we had to send this bill to the Senate. They amended quite a number of clauses, some that touched on money bill effect, or some clauses that made the bill to have the money bill, some clauses that had a money bill effect. And when they came, we rejected them, and those are some of the issues that occasioned the mediation process. I'm glad that the mediation committee between the two houses was able to agree and removed all the clauses that touched on taxation and anything that had the money bill effect, which in line with our Constitution and our own standing orders and those of the Senate, anything that has a money bill effect in line with Article 114 of our Constitution, can only be done by the National Assembly and not the Senate. And I must thank the mediation committee, because when they were able to sit together, they were able to agree and remove all the clauses that touched on money bill and those that touched on taxation. And I'm happy, Honorable Speaker, that many of those issues, again, were addressed during the finance bill debate, and we were able to enact many of the provisions that would otherwise have been carried in this bill that had tax measures in the finance bill, which is now the Finance Act of 2025, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there are also amendments, especially to clause 79, was it 76 or 79 and 74, Honorable Speaker? I will get it shortly, that touched on certain statutory provisions. Honorable Speaker, provisions under clause 79, 82A, and clause 40 and 29 that were being amended by this bill. And Honorable Speaker, some of the provisions touch on statutory provisions that the Senate again had sought to exclude certain companies, especially those that are engaged in online gambling, from statutory provisions. Statutory provisions, Honorable Speaker, some that require that any person who is engaged in gambling business must be domiciled in Kenya, must have a bank account in Kenya under the purview of the Central Bank of Kenya, must deposit security bonds or bank guarantees or an insurance bond to be able to safeguard the interests of the people who are gambling, Honorable Speaker. And some of the measures that Senate had taken was to remove some of those statutory provisions, Honorable Speaker. And I'm happy that during mediation they were able to agree and only allowed the exemption of clause 29A on the question of licensing for online, those who are engaging in the business of online gambling, to allow them not to necessarily have local shareholding, because the exemption was to allow, or rather the law required that any person who is licensed to offer gambling or betting activity under the Act, that person must be a body corporate in which a minimum of 30% of shares under this Act are either, it must be a body corporate in which a minimum of 30% of the shares are held by Kenyan citizens, Honorable Speaker. And I'm happy, Honorable Speaker, that that particular provision, the mediation committee was able to agree that if you engage in online business, you do not necessarily need to have shareholding, local shareholding, as was required under the Act. And that is the only exemption that the mediation committee has agreed on. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, the other measures that the Senate had put in exempting people who are doing online gambling from the statutory provisions of having security bonds, bank guarantees, insurance security bonds, those have now been restated. Because, Honorable Speaker, those things are not just there for the sake of having them there. They are there to protect the public. Because it's very easy, Honorable Speaker, for someone doing business online to collect money from Kenyans under the pretext of gambling or betting, then end up paying nothing and walk away with their money. And therefore, it is important that anybody who is licensed is required to deposit a security guarantee, a bank guarantee or an insurance bond that will ensure if you incur any liabilities, the people of Kenya, the betting public, are protected against such liabilities, Honorable Speaker. And I must thank the committee that they were able to agree on some of those otherwise very offensive provisions. And Honorable Speaker, at the time they were in mediation, members will remember the issue that was raised in the country of online gambling and the danger that gambling and betting is taking especially our young people through. And those like Honorable Kahangara and Honorable Tongoyo, who sit in the Security Committee, will tell you that whatever measures BCLB or the Betting and Licensing Control Board is doing are not adequate. And therefore, unless and until we have an operational act of parliament that will ensure that we also discourage our youth from engaging in irresponsible betting and gambling, Honorable Speaker, we risk making our young people believe that you can be rich by engaging in gambling and betting without engaging in any productive economic activity, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, those of us who confess the Islam faith will bear me witness that even in their faith, they don't believe in gambling because they believe in hard work. And even in the Christian faith, those of us who are Christians, we believe in people working and earning a living out of productive economic activities, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, we must have laws like this that discourage irresponsible gambling. It is okay to gamble and bet as a pastime, but it cannot be, Honorable Speaker, that every day of your life, all you do is to gamble and bet. It cannot be usual, Honorable Speaker, that many radio stations and TV stations, Honorable Speaker, were free to encourage the public to bet from as early as 5 a.m. There are radio stations that were running programs encouraging Kenyans to bet and gamble. We have seen young children, college students, commit suicide because of betting. They have gambled their money away, their school fees. Some gamble their subsistence allowance from their parents and from the Higher Education Loans Board, and they end up destitute, slip into depression, and end up, Honorable Speaker, some committing suicide. It is these young ones that we must protect. And this particular law will play a critical role in protecting the young people in our country against those who are encouraging them to engage in irresponsible betting and gambling. It will play a critical role in ensuring that our media houses do not irresponsibly encourage people to get into irresponsible gambling by making them believe that you'll become billionaires and millionaires overnight by simply punching numbers on your phone. Because you've seen many of them telling them, you just need to punch numbers and become bonyeza, kanya, finya, and you become a billionaire from gambling. Honorable Speaker, we want to encourage our young people to work. We want to encourage them to become innovative and use their intellect to engage in economic activities that will earn them a living, Honorable Speaker. And the many programs that are being rolled out, from the affordable housing program, Honorable Speaker, to the digital economy jobs, Honorable Speaker, to the Kazi Maju programs, Honorable Speaker, are opportunities where young people can engage in productive economic activities rather than encourage them to get into irresponsible gambling, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, I want to agree with the mover and the proposers of this bill, those who mediated this bill, Honorable Speaker, that this bill, when it becomes an act of parliament, it will provide us with a very good legal framework on the regulation and control of gambling activities in the country. And it will expressly provide for gambling activities that shall be legal in Kenya while prohibiting illegal forms of gambling, Honorable Speaker. Because as I said, there are all manner of gambling, Honorable Speaker. Those that are doing on radio, those that are doing on TV, those that are doing online, some that are domiciled in this country, others that are domiciled outside the country. This bill will be able to tell us what is legally authorized in Kenya, Honorable Speaker. You remember the time there was that debate 2 months or 3 months ago. BCLB told us that they had banned, I think, 330 companies that were engaged in illegal gambling activities, Honorable Speaker. Because it's also not clear, even to authorities in our county governments and law enforcers, which gambling activity is licensed. This bill now makes it clear what gambling activities will be licensed in Kenya. It will also promote and develop a responsible gambling industry in Kenya, Honorable Speaker. Because as I said, this industry is an industry like any other. Like the beer industry, like the cigarette industry. And as harmful as it can be, If done responsibly, it is an industry that can also generate resources for our country and create jobs. And we have many gambling companies that are engaged in responsible gambling that have created jobs for Kenyans in this country, and especially young Kenyans who are very innovative in the tech sector. Many of them are employed as app developers in these online gambling companies, and they're also providing money to the Exchequer, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, we want to ensure that we develop that responsible gambling industry in the country, as we minimize on the social harm that irresponsible gambling can afflict in our society, Honorable Speaker. This bill will also ensure that there is integrity in the conduct of licensed gambling activities and provide for the establishment of mechanisms for the resolution of disputes relating to gambling, because there are many disputes, as I said. Part of the reason why this House was opposed to lifting or to the Kenyan people, Honorable Speaker, Kenyan people, Honorable Speaker, because we have said, Honorable Speaker, that manufacturing in this country as a percentage of our GDP has been going down. And largely, we blame it on the cost of power. When shall we deal with the cost of power if we do not deal with KPLC, if we do not deal with Katraco, if we don't deal with REREC, if we don't deal with Kengen, if we don't deal with KPC? When will that cost of power ever come down? For how long are we going to point fingers backwards to the PPAs that were signed 25, 30 years ago, some fortunately which are about to come to an end, thank God. But when they come to an end, are we going to see another PPA being signed, a power purchase agreement being signed, with the same terms as those that we have been complaining about, Honorable Speaker? We pride ourselves as a country that almost 80% of our energy is green energy. Green energy is cheaper energy. But is that cheaper energy getting to the consumer? Is that cheaper geothermal energy, wind energy, solar energy? Since we're around the equator, we have very good weather that can give us solar energy almost throughout the year. Is it being reflected on our electricity bills? Is it helping to spur manufacturing in our country, Honorable Speaker? Those are questions we should be asking ourselves as legislators, as people who are charged with the responsibility of oversighting these public assets, Honorable Speaker. And that is why I am really begging, even as we adopt this report and deal with the issues that have been raised by the committee, and I support many of the recommendations that the committee has proposed, that we go beyond the call of duty. We go beyond the Auditor General's reports, because we have our committees, departmental committees, a committee on energy that oversights many of these parastatals, to make sure that we stem theft ahead of time. It is not enough to point out where money has been lost. It is better to capture the thieves before they take off with the money. And there are very many in this country, Honorable Speaker. Especially in those parastatals, Honorable Kosing. You must deal with them. And deal with them without fear or favor. I know some pride themselves in boasting around town how well connected they are. Let us see how well connected they are in court, not in bars and in town. Let them go and show their connections in court when they are charged. And we will support you, and you can count on my support as the leader of Majority, Honorable Kosing, and your committee to ensure that all these recommendations that you have put in your report are actualized. And therefore support and beg members to support this report, not for the sake of the Public Investments Committee, but for the sake of our good country. We must protect public assets, Honorable Speaker, without apologies to anybody. And that is why I have said, I have no apologies in saying what I am saying. Because what I am saying is right for the country. We must not allow people, because of their political affiliations, to abuse procurement processes in this country. We cannot allow people to be stealing and forming cartels. Then you go boasting around in town how well connected you are. You wait, we will see how well connected you are the day you land in court. And Honorable Kosing is on your case. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, because my time is over. I beg to support.
Very well. Unless there is any other member, I don't see more interest on this bill. I will ask the mover to reply.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to reply. And in so doing, Honorable Speaker, and I also thank God that you are the one who presided over yesterday, and you are the one presiding over today. Reason being, Honorable Speaker, that at least you have the content and the flow. Honorable Speaker, as I reply, let me begin with what Honorable Leader of Majority has raised. And I want to assure him, Honorable Speaker, you know, a matter raised by Leader of Majority is not just a matter. It's a serious matter, you know. In terms of ranking, he's actually our leader. And once he raises it for the people of Kenya. And I want to assure him, Honorable Speaker, that matter of Kenya, KPLC, we are seized of that matter as a committee, Honorable Speaker. And it is a shame, I want to say, with the little information I have, it's a shame, Honorable Speaker, that people are almost converting the institution into private property, that people can just do whatever they want to do. And it is true what Honorable Leader Majority is saying, that some of the people are boasting of connection. Yes, so let's see that connection under the power of the people. Because, Honorable Speaker, you know, yesterday, Honorable members were raising, including the Deputy Leader Majority, that we are becoming almost a house of reports. No, nothing, no function. We recommend a report as committee, and then it's taken over by implementation committee, and then it becomes again a report. I think I really got a lot of information yesterday from the Deputy Leader Majority. And therefore, I think the work is cut for us, Honorable Speaker. And we will bite. This House and this committee has serious teeth, Honorable Speaker. And I want to assure you, Honorable Leader of Majority, that matter of KPLC, we will do the soonest possible. We have ordered for a special audit, Honorable Speaker, on that matter, and we have given the Auditor General a very short time, within 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That matter should be on the floor of the House for prosecution or for consideration, Honorable Speaker. So I will not go into the details because the Auditor General is on that matter, and after which, Honorable Speaker, I will bring to the House for the House to make a decision. But it must be known, Honorable Speaker, that it is not going to be business as usual, Honorable Speaker. And the people who are concerned in this parastatal must be prepared. And of course, there are a lot of work we are doing. We are doing, Honorable Speaker, we are now auditing the power sector. And that's why we are saying. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, to follow that issue of meters, it is both in Kenya, in KPLC, and it's also both in REREC. And we might ask the Auditor General to look at those both institutions. So that if there are people who have converted public entities like property of individuals, then they will face the music or they will face the law. And I will tell the people of Kenya who are listening to us today, it's not going to be business as usual. And once I say, of course, you know from where we come from, we don't just talk, we act. Of course, you know, Madam Speaker, the tradition of the people that I come from. When we tell you we'll be there at 10 o'clock, it's going to be 10 o'clock exactly tomorrow morning. You know what I mean by that, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, it's not going to be business as usual. So they should now learn. And as I said yesterday, Honorable Speaker, in accordance with Article 221, that we are doing these things not for our interest, but the interest of the people of Kenya. And I think Parliament has been almost treated as a talking house. It's going to be auction house, Honorable Speaker. I want to assure the Leader of Majority. Secondly, what goes together with that, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of mini-grid that were done by some of these agencies, Honorable Speaker. That it came before the committee in the report, and we realized that people of Garissa, people of Mandera, Isiolo, Turkana, were treated with something that was going to generate power. Mini-grid, Honorable Speaker, for people who are beginners, is generational power. It's almost like a twin generational power. During the day, they use solar, upon which this solar should charge batteries, so that in between, when there's no enough light, the batteries can be able to power the electricity which is generated. And then at night, Honorable Speaker, it kicks on a generator, and this generator now should generate power so that our people, because they don't get the other supply of electricity. In these regions, Honorable Speaker, which are actually the most needy regions, which I've just mentioned, Garissa, Mandera, Isiolo, and Northeastern, Honorable Speaker, entirely, Turkana. These people are suffering as I speak today. And why? Yet the government has done the service, but it looks like it's a white elephant, Honorable Speaker. What we have done, Honorable Speaker, is we have refused to become, as a committee, we have refused to become a committee of talks. And therefore, both ministers are appearing before my committee on 5th. And this should be a notice also to both ministers. As Minister for Power or Electricity, Honorable Wandai, who was in my committee, has been invited to appear before the committee, and National Treasurer, Honorable Speaker, Honorable my good friend Badi. Because, Honorable Speaker, we have refused to become House of Reports. We have also refused to become House of Talks. And that for the benefit of the House, and as I conclude, Honorable Speaker, issues were raised yesterday, and I thank my colleagues. Issues were raised yesterday, which I want to clarify. One of the issues raised by honorable members is whether we are selecting agencies. No, we are not selecting agencies, Speaker. We are doing all agencies. We are auditing all agencies. However, our criteria of audit is different. What we do, we select them in accordance with sectors. As I speak today, Honorable Speaker, we are doing the power sector, after which we did transport. Now we are doing power or energy. Then from energy, we'll move to water. Then from water, we go to regional agencies, regional development agencies. Then from regional development agencies, we now go to financing. That is the reason, Honorable Speaker, of using the word selected state corporations. It's not that we don't do the rest. We will do all of them, Honorable Speaker. But particular times we do, as I've just said, Honorable Speaker. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I thank colleagues. I thank honorable members for getting a lot of interest in this debate of the committee. I thank Honorable Speaker, my colleagues, and particularly the majority for finding time to contribute my report, and also Deputy Leader of Majority. You know, when senior leaders contribute your motion, Speaker, that is where you find joy, which means you have actually also gotten their eye because of this implementation. Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply and request putting of the question to be deferred pursuant to Standing Order 53.3. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much.
The greatest matter of this country.
Honorable Kosing, we shall defer the putting of the question to the next appointed time. Next order.
Order number 13, the Metrology Bill, Senate Bill number 45 of 2023, second reading.
Leader of Majority, Honorable Chieni Wakieni. You are distracting the Leader of Majority, and he's supposed to move the Meteorology Bill.
Honorable Speaker, I'd actually asked my deputy to help me move it. So I'll allow him to move.
Thank you very much, and thank you, the Honorable Kimani Chungwa, Leader. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Meteorological Bill, Senate Bill number 45 of 2023, be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, as members recall, the Meteorological Bill was read for the first time on 3rd December 2024 and was thereafter committed to the Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry and Mining for consideration and reporting to the House pursuant to the provisions of the National Assembly Standing Order 127. I would like to commend the committee for a job well done, and to note that the chairman and the chairperson, the Honorable Kawaya, who leads that committee, did a commendable job, and I want to thank you for that job. The people of your constituency have a great leader in you. Honorable Speaker, the bill sponsored by the Senator Aaron Cheruiyot, who is also the leader of the majority in the Senate, seeks to provide a legal framework for the establishment of the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority, regulation, coordination, monitoring, management, provision, and control of meteorological services, and for connected purposes. Honorable Speaker, you know, for many years we have relied on Kenya Met to provide weather forecasts for us and do many things. But Honorable Speaker, you note that this organization has not been anchored in proper law. I think they operate on a legal notice. And as you're aware, legal notices in this country actually operate for 10 years. After 10 years, they lapse. So, Honorable Speaker, to give the Meteorological Department a proper grounding and a proper framework to operate their mandate so that they are properly covered, properly endowed with resources, and also proper governance structures are put in place to ensure that we anchor meteorological department in this country into law. Honorable Speaker, it's worth noting that the bill is enacted into law will apply to weather observers, meteorological service providers, private weather service providers, the Meteorological Training and Research Directorate, any meteorological training and research institutions, and any person, group of persons or organization whose undertakings involve or include generally the use of meteorological information for commercial purposes. For example, Honorable Speaker, the airports in this country use a lot of meteorological information, Honorable Speaker. If you go to all the airports in this country, they have weather forecasts, they do a lot of meteorological work, Honorable Speaker. But this work, Honorable Speaker, needs to be consolidated so that there is an authority that can manage, observe, and also ensure that rules are followed in weather forecast. Honorable Speaker, you have sometimes people forecast weather and say it will rain in Nairobi at 7 a.m. to midday. And then, Honorable Speaker, there is no rain. The rain actually starts at midday going forward, Honorable Speaker. Then you ask, really, who regulates weather forecasting in this country? Because everybody can do it. Because there's no law that controls all these other organizations that do weather forecasting, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, it is important that we put them under one umbrella, and that's why we have this bill, Honorable Speaker. First, the bill provides for the establishment of the Kenya Meteorological Services Authority. It's very important to have the Kenya Meteorological Services Authority. We only have Kenya Meteorological Department. But now it's going to be an authority, a body corporate that is managed by board of directors, i.e. the Kenya Meteorological Services Authority Board. So we are establishing that, Honorable Speaker. The authority shall be responsible for the provision of meteorological services in Kenya and be the principal technical advisor to the national and county governments on matters related to meteorology. Additionally, Honorable Speaker, the authority shall be responsible for the issuance of permits. That's very important, Honorable Speaker. Issuance of permits to persons who intend to undertake meteorological observations, weather forecasting activities, or weather modification activities. Honorable Speaker, further, the functions of the authority shall include to develop, review, and monitor the implementation of government policies in respect of meteorology and related services, provide aeronautical meteorological services for the safety, regularity, and efficiency of international air navigation in line with Annex 3 of the Chicago Convention on International Civil Aviation, provide timely meteorological information for search and rescue services and accident investigation, and collaborate with the relevant government agencies in the development, implementation, and operation of the national multi-hazard early warning systems. My Speaker, the bill also provides for the establishment of the Meteorological Training and Research Directorate. This is one of the new bodies that is being formed, Honorable Speaker. Meteorological Training and Research Directorate, which shall be responsible for training and research and shall be the World Meteorological Organization's Regional Training Center for the provision of certificate and diploma professional courses in meteorology, operational hydrology, and related services. Honorable Speaker, you realize that in Kenya, as long as you have studied geography at campus at university, you qualify to be a meteorology officer, Honorable Speaker. But now we are saying, just like you train to be a lawyer at the university, then you become an advocate through Kenya School of Law. We are also saying, this time, Honorable Speaker, even when you have a degree in geography or related studies, you must now go to the Meteorology Training and Research Directorate for training so that you are properly anchored as a meteorologist, Honorable Speaker. This is very important so that these people that focus weather for us are people that can be accounted for in terms of proper training and proper induction into the area. Honorable Speaker, the funds for the authority. The funds for the authority shall include monies as may be appropriated by Parliament for purposes of the authority. That is what we do in the budget here, Honorable Speaker. Monies as may accrue or vest in the authority in the course of exercise of its powers or the performance of its functions, and money collected under the Air Passenger Service Charge Act. You know, we have an Air Passenger Service Charge Act, Honorable Speaker, in this country. And those passengers right now, as you pay for your air ticket, you need now this money that is available, which is actually being collected, Honorable Speaker. The Meteorology Department must also get a piece of the cake, Honorable Speaker, so that they can fund activities. Right now, it doesn't get the money, but now we are saying from the Air Passenger Service Charge Act, the Meteorology Department or authority now will have a pie, a piece of the pie. Honorable Speaker, the bill provides for offenses and penalties and transitional provisions with respect to staff assess, and institute of meteorology training and research from the Kenya Meteorological Department to the Kenya Meteorological Services Authority and the Meteorology Training and Research Director. Honorable Speaker, what we are saying in this law, very simple. We already have staff that work in the Meteorological Department, Honorable Speaker, which is a department within the Ministry of Transport, Honorable Speaker. But now we are saying when the authority is being done, then we need to have transitional provisions so that the staff can now move to be staff of the authority, Honorable Speaker, and that is provided in this new law. Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, you realize, Honorable Speaker, there are certain organizations in this country that we have to anchor them in law. They have been there, they have operated on legal notices, but now it is time we anchor them in law. I think 2 days ago we did that for one. Now we are moving on to this and many others, Honorable Speaker, that are important government departments that we must anchor into law, and this is one of them. So this law, Honorable Speaker, needs to be fast-tracked. It's not a complicated law. It is doing the right thing to ensure that we anchor the Kenya Meteorological Department into law. In closing, Honorable Speaker, this bill will provide the much-needed legal framework to enhance access and utilization of meteorological services through engagement and partnership with stakeholders in order to facilitate the integration of weather and climate information in the decision-making process, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, our nation stands to benefit from the compliance with international commitments and requirements if the bill is enacted into law. Honorable Speaker, this is a must piece of legislation. We have no choice. We have to put it so that we anchor this organization into law. Honorable Speaker, with all those many words, I beg to move and request the Honorable Kawaya, engineer, a very able member, third termer, to actually second. Thank you very much.
Honorable Musyoka.
Thank you. That's a three-term. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, the Deputy Majority Whip, for ably Majority Leader for ably moving this particular bill, which is overdue. And Honorable Speaker, the only couple of things I want to touch on. First, this bill creates two very important institutions. One that has already been mentioned by the Deputy Majority Leader, the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority, a body corporate with board of directors, and also an institution called the Metrology Training and Research Directorate. Honorable Speaker, this particular training institution is going to do training and research, and it's also going to be the World Research or World Meteorological Organization Regional Center, and will be providing both certificate and diploma professional courses in meteorology, operational hydrology, and related sciences. Honorable Speaker, of importance is to also understand that currently we have the meteorological department, which is basically what we want to upgrade it from just a department under the ministry and give it full functions to work as an authority. And since it is working as an authority, it is also important to understand its source of resources or monies to finance its operations. And one of the sources of resources is basically monies that Parliament will be required to appropriate to support this institution. Secondly, the institution will also be making some monies through levies, and we want to encourage, because we want, you've seen most of the institutions are now going A in A, generating their own income to finance their operations. Currently, I would say metrology has been done in as a kangaroo style. We need to invest in modern equipment. And for us to invest in modern equipment, we also need to resource this particular authority. And we'll say further to that, there's the Air Passenger Service Act, which currently is allowing the civil aviation to charge some money for air flights landing in the country. And that is going to be one of the sources of resources for this authority. In any case, going to make money for the for the air flight. Honorable Speaker, again of importance is to note that this particular meteorological authority, the Kenya Meteorological Services Authority, will be responsible for licensing every person, be it an individual, be it groups, as long as they are involved on matters observation or metrology for commercial purposes. It is important to underline the word commercial purposes. Honorable Speaker, as a committee, we have also engaged widely. We have met many stakeholders because the provisions of the Constitution requires Standing Order 127, that we do thorough public participation. And we engaged many stakeholders so that we are as thorough as possible. We engaged the State Department for Environment and Climate Change, the Department for Shipping and Maritime Affairs, the Civil Aviation Authority, and the Passeries Alliance for Resilience and Adaptations Across Nations. They are called PARAN. Honorable Speaker, it is also interesting to note that as it is right now, weather forecasting is actually not just left to the sciences of the books, but also to the indigenous knowledge. And as you will observe, you look at the bill keenly and our report, we've knowledges that we'll be looking at while identifying the members of the Kenya Meteorological Services Authority Board, because in most of the times we look at the education background. You are told for you to be a board member, you need to have be an engineer, you need to be a lawyer, but we are also looking at indigenous knowledge. In any case, it has been used a lot currently in the weather observation. People from Turkana, they will tell you, actually they are experts, indigenous experts who never gone to school, but they slaughter a cow, they look at the intestines, and they tell you when it is going to rain. This is both the ministries and also the other stakeholders who appeared before us. They were categorical that in this bill we cannot leave out the services of these indigenous people. And in the past, these people have actually been used without any specific stipends. We hope, because now we'll be using their services, and this authority is also going now to be making money, that they do not use the services of these indigenous people for free. Honorable Speaker, and therefore just to make a few comments, a few observations as a committee. After engaging different stakeholders, we made several observations, and one of the observations we made was that the Kenya Meteorological Authority will enhance the provision of timely, accurate, and effective weather forecasts, advisories, and alerts, as well as provision of user-tailored specific climate weather products. 2, that the legal framework will enhance access to utilization of meteorological services through engagement and partnerships with all stakeholders in order to facilitate the integration of weather and climate information in the decision-making process. 3, that the nation stands to benefit from compliance with international commitments and requirements if this bill is enacted into law. 4, that Kenya Maritime Authority gaining access to real-time and reliable information on atmospheric and oceanic conditions, mariners will effectively anticipate and respond to potential hazards at sea. 5, that the traditional indigenous knowledge that I have mentioned in weather forecasting is not only significantly valuable, but also culturally significant and should be integrated into modern meteorological systems to improve accuracy and relevance of weather forecasts. The Kenya Meteorological Service Authority ought to collaborate with relevant government agencies, including National Drought Management Authority that operates an early warning system and conducts food security assessments through multi-hazard approach so as to leverage on the existing systems through a collaborative network. In a nutshell, Honorable Speaker, weather forecasting is extremely important. Many occasions, and many of us have had to have their flights delayed, and you are told it's because the weather is not good for you to fly your chopper, to fly the planes. Even for the mariners at sea, you are told that you can't do this because the waves are too harsh. It tells you that we are living with this particular weather forecast on daily basis. And this information is usually, when you are told you have to wait, it is not, it is basically as it happens. It is real time. And therefore, these people are monitoring this weather real time. If this weather monitoring, which is real time, is not done accurately, then it tells you that it can potentially cause a lot of problems. Because if, for instance, you fly, and then this person giving you that the weather, the skies have cleared, is basically relying on old equipment or equipment that is not accurate, and then you end up flying at a time when the weather is not good, then that means basically that it can easily cause accidents. And therefore, this just underlines one of the issues. And if you look at this particular law, it also tries to domesticate the existing laws, because for us also to fly our planes, there are certain world standards that are domesticated and Annex 3 of the Chicago Convention. And then in our consideration of the bill, we have ensured that then basically these provisions that have already been domesticated under other acts that we passed through this House, then they do not conflict. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, the Departmental Committee on Environment, Forestry and Mining, having considered the bill and facilitated the public participation on the bill, recommends that the House approves the bill, of course, with a number of amendments that we looked at as a committee. And with those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to second.
Very well. Honorable members, I therefore propose a question that the Meteorology Bill, Senate Bill number 45 of 2023, be read a second time. Honorable members, before I indulge you, join me in welcoming in the public gallery, I don't know whether they're still there, Camaroso School from Eldama Ravine, Baringo County, and St. John's Academy from Keio South, Elgeyo Marakwet County. I take this opportunity to welcome them on behalf of the House to observe the proceedings of this House. Honorable Sunkuli.
Madam Speaker, I also support this bill and say that it will be very important to have an authority that will be looking into the weather of this country and the climate. But Madam Speaker, I want to begin by saying, so that we can correct a number of things, meteorology is a science. It is a science that studies the relationship between the atmosphere and the geosphere, the relationship between the atmosphere and the hydrosphere, the relationship between the atmosphere and the biosphere. And I'm saying this because I wanted the committee to look at these things purely as a science and to understand that the study of the atmosphere is a little bit different from the study of intestines. So that I had it said that there is something called traditional ways of predicting the weather. I'm saying myself that might be possible, but that is not meteorology. That might be the study of intestines, of cows and how they relate to the atmosphere. So, Madam Speaker, I want to urge that because meteorology is a science, and we are creating an organization that is going to be predicting the weather for a number of socioeconomic users, this, I agree with Honorable Kawaya, must have two aspects. One, it must be well-resourced, and secondly, it must be well-financed, well-equipped in terms of equipment. I've had the advantage, as you know, Madam Speaker, of being ambassador in China. a country where weather prediction is taken very seriously. And by the way, you cannot, in China, if you have a big organization, if you have a big like Madaraka Day, and it is predicted that it's going to rain tomorrow, it is predicted in such a way that scientifically it rains today. And you know that that exists, it's called seeding. In this country, well, to give credit to our Department of Meteorology, I think that more and more there has been some sort of accuracy in predicting weather, more and more. But we need, as a country, to invest in this. First, because we are an agricultural country that needs to know what to tell our farmers. Right now, the prediction of whether it's going to rain tomorrow or not is from a large territory. Like if I want to know if it's going to rain in Kilgoris, I cannot get that from the meteorological department. They'll tell me that the weather conditions prevailing in Kisumu are probably going to prevail in Kilgoris, or the Harbour Islands of such and such a place. But if we resource this, if we equip this authority properly, it is going to be more precise. It's going to tell you in Kilgoris it's going to be raining. And I get this from the international satellites, Madam Speaker, because if you have a Samsung phone and you move between here and Kiambu, they'll tell you this area is about to rain. Our own equipment should be able to predict the weather. And we must face this. We should put up satellites, because the study of the atmosphere involves the erection of satellites up there that are meant for the weather. And I look forward to a day when our meteorologists will be able to be very, very precise. But secondly, Madam Speaker, I hear that the staff will going to be transited, and I think that is good for human resource. But let us emphasize that the staff is going to be trained. Because if we are going to transit the same staff, and I'm not saying that we should not, then we must be able to tell them to be ready for the task, because now we are creating an organization that promises better results. And you cannot get water from a stone. These people must be trained in meteorology. And in my opinion, one of these organizations that is created for training cannot in itself fulfill the training requirements of meteorology. It can only source better knowledge from elsewhere because we do not have it. And I want us to do this. I know we like our traditions, but please, if we are embracing science, let's embrace science. I come from a clan in Maasai land which can actually predict the weather. But most of the times I go wrong. And there's no way I can understand why I am wrong. There's no machine I've used to say that it has gone wrong. I think let us emphasize, let's get rid of this idea that we are going to kill animals to know the weather. Let's just buy machines so that we can be able to tell the whole world what's going to happen. Thirdly, this weather prediction cannot be a one-country affair. We have to have an interaction of different technologies so that we become very, very precise. And I know that, Madam Speaker, if we want to understand the vagaries of weather, we have got to learn from the best. And out there in the world, there are many countries that have perfected over the years in learning the weather. If you want to know today whether to fly over the Pacific, you will be told precisely whether you can make it or not. And the reason why aeroplanes sometimes fly even when there is bad weather is because the radar tells them that whether you can be able to make it. We can be able to do it, but let's not pretend we can do it alone. We have to come together with other countries that do it better so that we can learn. And let's understand that once we are able to know that the weather is going to be friendly for farmers, we are going to have better output. Not just for flying, for farming. I have to be told, no, we are doing guesswork. We are planting things at the wrong time. Sometimes it rains, and you plant, and then the rain stops, but nobody told you it was going to stop. It is very important that we do it, and I give a pledge again. We do it by resourcing this authority. We do it by equipping this authority. For the time being, let's allow the biologists to do the science of the intestines, but let us build our own authority to be able to be more scientific, because meteorology is a science. I beg to support.
Well, the Turkana people have been mentioned as able to predict weather through intestine. So, Honorable Mother, maybe you'll clarify.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I want to thank you for this opportunity. I am in the Committee for Environment, Forestry and Mining, and I want to thank my chair for expediting the production of this bill. And to this end, we want to say thank you, because this is one of the bills that we've been able to generate. The first one was an amendment. Yes, this is a Senate bill, Madam Speaker, but when it came to our committee, we took an observation on non-inclusion of indigenous technical knowledge, or what can also be called the traditional indigenous knowledge. Madam Speaker, I want to speak so much on that ITK, indigenous technical knowledge, because one, climate change is already affecting each and every country in the world. And number two, Madam Speaker, the manner in which this information on forecasting, on meteorological equipment, how it is spread in the country is not equitable. It is not adequate. Madam Speaker, this has forced so many communities, especially in the ASALs, to depend so much on traditional indigenous knowledge, or that indigenous technical knowledge, Madam Speaker. And you find, for example, in Turkana, the communities, or most of the people there, rely on the reading of sandals, for example. They also rely on the reading of the intestines. They also observe how maybe frogs will suddenly begin to roar, or even the movement of birds at some time. Also, they will observe also the movement of butterflies and even the direction of the wind. Also, in the constellation in the sky, they will be able to say the 6 stars that are normally grouped together. When they are positioned at a certain time in the night, and they will lie and observe, there is a certain position where they will always say, rains are almost coming. And Madam Speaker, this is not jargon. Sometimes when it's dry, you will see movements of animals towards a given direction. And when you get to inquire, they will tell you the reading of the intestines is telling us to move towards this end because it's going to rain those sides. And actually what happens is when they move to those areas, they get rains in those places. And therefore, Madam Speaker, what is much of importance here is the need for us to consider inclusion of information, of knowledge, whether indigenous or whether scientific. And that was our utmost observation when we received this bill from the Senate, that yes, there is these scientific forecasts that are normally made, either to support aviation, shipping, or any other transport. But, Madam Speaker, we need to see how we can be able to integrate this indigenous technical knowledge into our science. So that, Madam Speaker, if this information is not timely received at the grassroots, especially in the ASAL, where we have the impacts of climate change, or where our pastoralism is affected. Madam Speaker, that information, whether scientific or no, or whatever, will not be useful to those communities. And therefore, Madam Speaker, integration of both scientific and this indigenous technical knowledge is profound. And this country, Madam Speaker, Article 11 on culture, the state is mandated to preserve indigenous knowledge. Also under Article 69, Madam Speaker, on environment and natural resources, there is also that part that requires the state also to see the integration of indigenous knowledge in either the meteorological systems or in everything that is scientific, so that those who are in these communities, in local regions that are far-flung from development, marginalized, are able to be integrated in whatever becomes law, like when we are observing this Metrology bill. Madam Speaker, I want to support the inclusion of ITK, indigenous technical knowledge, into this bill. In that way, Madam Speaker, there will be a lot of ownership of the bill. There will also be a time when science meets tradition or indigenous knowledge. A time when everything will be observed from the perspective of saying, yes, I was able to participate. Madam Speaker, I want to give an example of NDMA, National Drought Management Authority. When NDMA was still called ARDLANS, ARDLANS Resource Management Program, there was collection of data from households at the local level. There was also a time when NDMA, that time ARDLANS Resource Management Program, was able to collect information on this reading of sandals, on the reading of the intestines, on what is the observation of the community on the flowering of plants, or the movement of butterflies, or the roaring of frogs. They will include it in their data. Madam Speaker, ARDLANS, under their monitoring and evaluation unit, was able to give accurate information. And it was as a result of getting to the household level, the pastoralist level, household level, and being able to collect that information and integrate it with science. And Madam Speaker, you will find that the calendar, the Turkana calendar, because the Turkanas also do have their calendar, and they will tell you month within the year when it will rain. And those names will be attached to either a rainy season or to a dry season. Madam Speaker, that has changed. But when NDMA came in with their monitoring unit and collected data and were able to integrate, then they will say, this is what the traditional indigenous knowledge persons are holding, but this is what science is trying to forecast. And when that information gets to the household level, they will be able to actually say, yes, it is true, and they can be able to own it, Madam Speaker. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I don't dispute the use of science. Science can be used in aviation or shipping. Science can be used in these other things, but pastoralism will need an integration of both science and ITK, Madam Speaker. And for that, I support. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Mover to reply.
Microphone. Okay, thank you. Honorable Speaker, I want to reply. And in replying, I want to say this, that this is a very important bill that we must enact as a parliament to give, legal standing to our meteorology services in this country, Honorable Speaker. And I want to quote my chief, where I come from, I think was watching this debate, and he has contributed, Chief Dixon Kitole. And I say this, yes, Mwesh, that act, as you have supported, will help a lot on disaster preparedness, farming, and cut off fake weather forecasts and licensed farms. And I think that is it. I think he sums it up, this chief from my village, and I want to thank him for his contribution. But again, Honorable Speaker, I want to give credit and thank you to the chairman, Honorable Kawaya, for the good job. I think many times we've given Honorable Kawaya responsibility in this House as chairman in committees. He has done a tremendous job. And I think this is one of those bills that will go into the history of this country, that he midwifed and pushed and succeeded. And when we actually have that authority established, we will thank you, Honorable Kawaya, for that good job. Honorable Speaker, I also want to thank the members of that committee for the job and the time they put in, and also for members for contributing. And I request and urge this House that this is a bill that we must pass so that we move forward in weather forecasts. I like the debate on whether looking at the intestines is also part of weather forecasting. You know, weather forecasting can be physical and can also be spiritual. So those that look at intestines have a spiritual understanding of it, and they are gifted in a certain way to do it. So you cannot, and spiritualism, Ambassador, is actually part of science. You know, science is not just about, it's about empiricism. Science is about empiricism. And those that Honorable Kawai has talked about, there's empirical evidence that they have at one time predicted rain, and rain has come on the basis of the intestine. And science is not just confined to labs. Science is broad, Ambassador, and therefore you should not just confine science to the one that Europeans call science. Even the one that Honorable Kawaya from his village is also science, and that science must be respected. That's why we have some laws on traditional medicine and healers and all that puts them together and is recognized and respected, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, I want to say welcome even those guys, so that the Kenya Meteorological Authority, as we will set it up, can also regulate even those and get information from seers and people who understand weather. In my place, the Chonyi tribe is known as that, is respected for the tribe that actually predicts weather properly. You know, if they tell you it will rain tomorrow, it will rain. You know, because they have a certain spiritual science within them that helps them to predict weather. So we want to thank you for that contribution, but thank every member who has contributed. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply and request putting of the question to be deferred pursuant to Standing Order 53.3. I thank you and I reply. Thank you.
It shall be so. The question will be put in the next appointed time. Next order.
Order number 14, motion. Consideration of 6th report on the financial statements for the NGCDF accounts for 3 constituencies.
Honorable Gideon Muliungi, the Chairperson, Decentralized Funds Accounts Committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopt the 6th report of the Decentralized Funds Accounts Committee on its consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the National Government Constituencies Development Fund for Wembuye East, Dagoretti North, and the Matunga constituencies for the financial years 2016, 2017, 2017-2018, 2018-2019, 2019-2020, 2020-2021, and 2021-2022, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 10th of April, 2025. Madam Speaker, the Decentralized Funds Accounts Committee is established pursuant to Standing Order number 205B and is responsible for the examination of the reports of the Auditor General on the accounts of, among others, the National Government Constituencies Development Fund and the National Government Affirmative Action Fund and their boards. In its examination and scrutiny of the audited financial statements of the constituencies, the committee primary approach was to receive submissions from the accounting officers of the NGCDF and the fund account managers as regards to errors of omission or commission that gave rise to the audit queries cited by the Auditor General. Honorable Speaker, this was done guided by the relevant public financial management principles in the Constitution of Kenya 2010, and the Public Audit Act, the Public Finance Management Act, and the attendant regulations, and the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act, and the attendant regulations, and the International Public Accounting Standards, IPSAS. Madam Speaker, the committee examined a total of 18 reports of the Auditor General for Webuye East, Dagoretti North, and Matunga constituencies for 6 financial years examined between 2016 and 2022. The observations, findings, and recommendations are contained in the committee report now before the House. Honorable Speaker, the fund has had a significant impact on the lives of people through various infrastructure and social development projects, including the construction and renovation of schools, purchase of land for public institutions, and support for security and health initiatives, as well as supporting students through issuance of bursaries. A highlight of some of the projects undertaken in the constituencies examined include, but not limited to, the following. In Webuye constituency, the fund supported a total of 38 projects in education of building classrooms, security, and issuance of bursaries during the financial years under review. The constituency issued bursary amounting to 67,291,333 to both secondary and tertiary institutions. Further analysis indicates that all the projects were complete and in use as at the time of audit. In Dagoretti North constituency, the fund supported the construction of a water tower for the existing borehole at St. George's Secondary School, among other projects. Issuance of bursaries during the financial years under review. The constituency issued bursaries amounting to 24 million to both secondary and tertiary institutions. In Matunga constituency, Madam Speaker, the fund supported the construction of an administration block in Matunga Girls Secondary School and construction of Simba Chief's office, among other projects. On all the constituencies examined, the fund also issued bursaries during the financial years under review. For instance, in Matunga constituencies, as I've said, bursaries amounting to 26 million were issued to both secondary and tertiary institutions. In Dagoretti, bursaries amounting to 24 million, and in Webuye, bursaries amounting to 67 million. Madam Speaker, although the House has ruled on the matter of bursary disbursements before in our previous reports, there was an alarming report from the Auditor General on the contrary in the print, electronic, social, and digital media, accusing 30 MPs of misappropriating CDF bursaries, citing lack of receipts and acknowledgement letters from beneficiary institutions. Honorable Speaker, I want to clarify and put on record the following: that MPs have no role in the management of NGCDF funds. Number B, fund account managers are the AIE orders and accounting officers answerable to Parliament and not MPs. My committee examines fund managers and not MPs. The report, therefore, is misleading, petty, frivolous, and unfounded, and has no basis in law. Further, and as I've said, Honorable Speaker, the committee has pronounced itself before on this matter in previous reports tabled before this House and approved by the House. In particular, the committee in its previous report, and in particular for the disbursement of funds, it is not practical for beneficiaries of bursaries to bring back receipts to CDF office after collecting their checks. To cure this problem, the committee recommended that Auditor General verifies disbursement of bursary checks from bank account statements of CDF and the recipient institutions if they so wish. The committee has taken exception to the Auditor General's report and reprimands her for dishonoring and rubbishing National Assembly recommendations and puts her on notice for insubordinating and taking Parliament for granted on frivolous and petty issues. The committee recommended to summon her in due course to shed more light on her allegations and insubordinating Parliament. Madam Speaker, the committee, upon examination of Auditor General's report for the 3 constituencies, made the following observations and recommendations. On presentation of accuracy of financial statements, the committee observed that fund account managers faced challenges in adopting and complying with IPSAS reporting framework, leading to audit queries. And therefore, the committee recommends that the accounting officer should comply with IPSAS framework in preparing financial statements. The accounting officer, in consultation with Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, IPSAS, as in previous reports of this committee, been directed to conduct continuous capacity building to fund account managers on financial reporting standards and the constituency staff. Number 2, on failure to submit required documents during audit, the committee observed that fund account managers did not avail complete reconciled financial statements on time for review and verification by the auditors during the audit exercise. This is contrary to the law. And therefore, the committee recommends that the accounting officers should ensure fund account managers comply with the Public Audit Act regarding timely provision of information. Additionally, original project management committee files should be maintained at CDF office. Further, qualified accountants should be employed by the constituency offices for the financial year, from financial year 2025 to 2026, to strengthen record keeping and financial statement preparation. On delay of exchequer releases, which was very common, the committee observed that delays in exchequer releases led to under-expenditure and the delays in implementation and completion of projects. The committee recommended that the National Treasury should ensure timely and adequate disbursement of funds to the NGCDF board for immediate release to constituencies to implement approved projects. Honorable Speaker, the report underscores the importance of transparency and accountability in management of NGCDF. Following the examination of the financial statements and engagement with the fund account managers, the committee has identified critical areas of improvement and has provided actionable recommendations aimed at enhancing compliance with the established financial management principles. By addressing the audit queries and implementing the proposed remedies, the constituencies will enhance efficiency and accountability in the utilization of the NGCDF funds for the betterment of the local communities. Finally, Madam Speaker, allow me to thank the members of my committee and the clerks who worked very hard and put many hours to prepare this report. And therefore, Madam Speaker, with those remarks, I beg to move and request the Honorable Jackson Lekomondare to second the report. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Samburu East.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move the motion as read by the...
The motion has been moved.
To second the motion as read by my able chair. Madam Speaker, our committee looked at the various reports and specifically to these 3 constituencies. And just as the Chair mentioned, our Honorable Speaker, there are cross-cutting issues in almost all the constituencies, especially the delay of the exchequer from the National Treasury. And Madam Speaker, when funds are not released at the right time, they affect the citizen negatively. Madam Speaker, you find that there is a lot of delay of implementation of projects, and even this one raises a lot of audit issues when it comes to auditor now. And Madam Speaker, we also observe that the fund managers did not provide complete reconciled financial records and the accounting reporting. Madam Speaker, most of the audited accounts we have observed as committee has challenges in accounting. And I think, Madam Speaker, our fund managers really needs to be taken for maybe some short courses so that, Madam Speaker, they'll be able to provide the required records and accounting. Honorable Speaker, we also observed that this verification of projects, the auditor will not be able to verify the project, and this is contrary to Article 229, Madam Speaker, of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 and Section 68(2) of the Public Finance Management Act. And Madam Speaker, the NGCDF funds are very important and helpful to our people. And we really need, Madam Speaker, the fund managers to have that knowledge of keeping the records and the accounting records really needs to be kept well. And Madam Speaker, you find that even the simple issues that they were required to submit to auditors, they lack. And I thank Madam Speaker, our committee, because we have taken time, Madam Speaker, to look at the NGCDF audited accounts since the funds started. And I think when the funds were started, Madam Speaker, maybe they lack a lot of understanding from the fund managers, and that's why we witness some issues. And our committee, Madam Speaker, recommend that the accounting officers ensure compliance with the Public Audit Act. That is very important, Madam Speaker, that the fund managers need to comply with the required regulations. And Madam Speaker, these are very important reports. And I urge this House, Madam Speaker, to adopt this report so that we can recognize the effort made by our committee, Madam Speaker. So as I conclude, Madam Speaker, these issues are noted by the committee. I think we are going to look into all these issues, and our funds can be used in the correct way, Madam Speaker. And thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to second. Thank you.
Member for Karachuonyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me...
Hold on. I didn't propose a question. Did I propose? Yes. Yes, please. I thought...
Okay, thank you, Madam. Madam Speaker.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on. I propose a question. Member for Karachuonyo. I think we have done too many motions back to back. Honorable members, allow me to propose that this House adopts the 6th report of the Decentralized Funds Account Committee on its consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the National Government Constituencies Development Fund for Webuye East, Dagoretti North, and Matuga constituencies for financial years 2016-2017, 2017-2018, 2018-2019, 2019-2020, 2020-2021, and 2021-2022 laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 10th April 2025. Now, Member for Karachuonyo, you can have your take.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Madam Speaker, the first thing I must say is that NGCDF is the fund where you normally don't have pending bills. Very unique. Elsewhere in the main government side and the counties, you find these word pending bills, which is already reaching a situation where it interferes with our budgeting. And because of that, maybe I congratulate my colleagues because they are doing the right thing. They are following procedures. And again, let me say that NGCDF has contributed to the development of this nation in a very, very unquestionable manner. If one wants to see what NGCDF has done, you only need to go out there in the countryside and see what's happening there. Sometimes I wonder when I hear that so many people want to do away with it. I'm glad here in this House we passed a bill to anchor NGCDF in the Constitution, and it is my hope and indeed my wish that this fund is in the Constitution for protection purposes. That, if that happens, the Kenyans will never regret the funds given to NGCDF for use in various places. Again, it is a fund touching on the ground. It is a grassroots fund. If you ask anybody what the government does, almost you can be sure that you'll be told the government builds schools for us, the government do this and that. And that school is talking about is built by NGCDF. Personally, I'm proud of this fund, and I feel my colleagues have done well in implementing the projects for which NGCDF is meant. Again, you can say for sure that the much larger percentage goes into development and not recurrent expenditure. In most cases, you talk of 30% recurrent expenditure in government, and you talk of the same roughly in the county government spending. But in the NGCDF, it is the opposite. Recurrent is minor, very small. Even the number of staff working in NGCDF is much less in relation to comparison with the other funds. So I think it is a fund with meaning, a fund with benefits to wananchi. I'm happy to say that I support the report of the committee that has been tabled. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Member for Migori.
Just take this.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to support NGCDF. If I may add NGCDF GAF, though the report that has been tabled is solely on NGCDF. First, I want to congratulate the chair for the decentralized funds for a job well done and the entire committee. Considering that those are 290 accounts that they have to audit, and I see that almost every day they are tabling a report. I think they are working well, they are giving value to Kenyans who elected them, and I do congratulate them for that. Madam Speaker, NGCDF is the only, together with GAF, is the only, I would say the only thing that works on the future. Because most of the projects that they do, almost all actually, are to do with the children going to school. And these are our future. The children are our future. And the children are our witnesses, because as we work here, our days are going and we will soon be out of this house. But our future, we are leaving them well educated, we are leaving them in good classrooms. Madam Speaker, the days I was going to school, there was no NGCDF. And imagine I went to a mud classroom, I sat on a stone. Fortunate enough, I made it to be who I am today. But our children are doing a little bit better, because at least the members of parliament who have NGCDF, all of them, are making good use of it, apart from few areas that still are behind. So, Madam Speaker, I must say that this NGCDF is a good thing for this country, and I believe all citizens in this country are happy with what NGCDF is doing. Actually, other than the county government, if you were to give comparison to what the members of parliament do with NGCDF, compare with the national government and the county government, you would see a very big difference with the little money that our honorable members do receive. And honestly, it's a testimony out there, right from the children, they can testify. In fact, NGCDF, if I was to specify on bursaries, this is the only reason why a member of parliament is known. If you ask a study 2 pupil who is your member of parliament, he'll tell you it is who and who. And how did you know him? He came to our school. How did you know him? He built a school he built a class in our school. So this fund is very important. If anything, after being put into the constitution, it should even be enhanced and be given more money, because this is a fund that is truly felt on the ground together with GAF. I support the report, I congratulate the committee, and I wish them well. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Mover to reply.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me to thank the members who have contributed to this motion, and in particular the member for Karachuonyo, and the member for Migori County, and the member for Kajiado, and assure them that their contributions will go a long way in enriching our future reports. Madam Speaker, allow me, before I reply, to say that there is a notion out there that members are in charge of CDF, members are the ones who manage CDF, members are the ones who write checks. To reiterate to the public that members of parliament have no role in CDF. Their role is oversight and nothing else. The fund is managed by somebody called Fund Account Manager, who is appointed by the board of the NGCDF in Nairobi. And therefore, anytime a report is made by the public, civil society, the Auditor General, they always say members of parliament have misappropriated NGCDF. That is not true, and therefore I just wanted to put that clear. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to reply and request that in accordance with Standing Order number 53.3, you put I beg to reply and request that the putting of the question be deferred pursuant to Standing Order number 53.3. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You are right on track. The question will be put in the next appointed time. Next order.
Order number 15, the Pyrethrum Repeal Bill, National Assembly Bill number 40 of 2024. Second reading.
Deputy Leader of Majority.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I may take this moment, Honorable Speaker, to thank you for the point to move the Pyrethrum repeal. The key word is repeal bill, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move the Pyrethrum repeal bill 2024 be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, by way of introduction, I just want to make a few introductory remarks. The Pyrethrum was introduced in Kenya in 1928 and quickly grew up into a major cash crop. By 1935, production had reached commercial levels, leading to export market development. At its peak, Honorable Speaker, in the 1990s, Kenya was the global leader in pyrethrum production, commanding 70%. You remember those days when you were young, you would sit by the small transistor radio and you hear Pyrethrum Board of Kenya. And they used to have a program, I think, before 7 p.m. news there, and there was always something on pyrethrum. And in school, we were taught foreign exchange, ANA, tourism, coffee, pyrethrum, and we knew the list. Then, I don't know, Honorable Speaker, the rest is history, but we had the 70% of the world market. Honorable Speaker, today, pyrethrum is cultivated in only 18 counties and remains a high potential crop. I think that's the key word, potential crop. It's a high potential crop. It used to grow even in my village, this pyrethrum, you know, Honorable Speaker, especially as a demand for organic insecticide continues to grow due to rising health concerns over synthetic chemicals. You know, those pesticides that are synthetically developed, Honorable Speaker. I think we must move back to organic, and pyrethrum would be that potential crop. Honorable Speaker, to manage the growing industry, the government enacted the Pyrethrum Act, Cap 340 in 1964. It's archaic, old, you know. This law established two statutory bodies, the Pyrethrum Board of Kenya, PBK, to oversee cultivation and licensing, and the Pyrethrum Marketing Board, PMB, to manage processing and marketing. These bodies, Honorable Speaker, were charged with regulating and promoting the industry through a state-controlled structure. In 1977, Speaker, the Act was amended to merge PBK and PMB into a single entity, the Pyrethrum Board of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, as I speak, I'm preparing the Bishop to second me, so I have already said who will second me, and I hope he will.
Are you having doubts on the capacity of the good bishop?
No, the good bishop is ready. He's ready, and I'm just alerting him that when I'm done, in a few minutes, he will be up and supporting this bill. Honorable Speaker, as part of wider agricultural sector reform, and this is where the rubber meets the road, Honorable Speaker. As part of the wider agricultural sector reforms, 3 key laws were enacted and assented to on the 14th of January 2014. The Crops Act 2013, number 16 of 2013, the Agricultural and Food Authority AFA Act of 2013, number 13 of 2013, and the Pyrethrum Act of 2013, number 2022 of 2013. And I want to explain this, Honorable Speaker. You know, as part of the major reforms in 2014, Honorable Speaker, we put all the individual Crops Act into one act, and we got the Crops Act. And then we looked at those crops that, Honorable Speaker, were meant to be food crops, Honorable Speaker, and we put them under the AFA Act, the Agricultural Food Authority, Honorable Speaker. So when we did that, we put coffee, we put tea, we put pyrethrum, we put sunflower, we put cashew nuts, macadamia, and all those together, Honorable Speaker. But then the mistake that was made is to allow pyrethrum to have its own act, and yet it was put under the AFA Act. I hope that is understood, Honorable Speaker. So when that was done, when put in the AFA and the Crops Act, it made it very difficult for pyrethrum to operate on its own act because other acts were regulating pyrethrum. And I think that is what is very, very important, Honorable Speaker. And because of that, therefore, we have stifled the growth of Pyrethrum in this country, because it is neither operating under the Pyrethrum Act, neither is it operating under the AFA or the Crops Act. So the remedy, Honorable Speaker, for this is to ensure that there's only one act that regulates Pyrethrum. And therefore, it is at this point that thought came into mind that now we repeal, we kill, let me use the crude word, we kill the Pyrethrum Act and remain with the AFA and Crops Act so that we do not have a duplicity, Honorable Speaker. And that is why we are moving the repeal, Honorable. These reforms were aimed at consolidating agricultural laws and creating a streamlined framework. However, the simultaneous existence of all three acts led to regulatory duplication, particularly in the Pyrethrum subsector. Honorable Speaker, the Pyrethrum Act 2013 established the Pyrethrum Regulatory Authority, whose functions largely mirror those of AFA. They mirror those of AFA, the regulations, Honorable Speaker, and therefore we have duplicity. Earlier, under CAP 340, the regulatory and marketing responsibility were separated between PBK and PMP until the eventual merger. The 2013 Act aimed to revitalize the sector with a focused approach, but its structure essentially duplicated roles already assigned to AFA under the new reforms, especially with regard to licensing, processing, and promotion. So as we speak, Honorable Speaker, we have Pyrethrum Board, it's an act which has functions which are duplicated under the AFA Act and the Crops Act, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, it is important that one of them paves way for the other. And the choice is that Pyrethrum Act paves way for the AFA Act to still continue to regulate Pyrethrum. Honorable Speaker, the existence of the Pyrethrum Act 2013, alongside the Crops Act and AFA Act, has created legal uncertainty and conflict in mandates. Legal uncertainties and conflicts in the mandate, Honorable Speaker. It has also delayed the enactment of specific regulations under the Crops Act for the Pyrethrum subsector. And this is very important, Honorable Speaker. My Speaker, you see, the minister is supposed to give regulations for the Pyrethrum subsector. But AFA board is supposed also to give regulations for the Pyrethrum subsector. So because of that duplicity, Honorable Speaker, it has become very, very difficult to give regulations and to keep Pyrethrum alive in this country. And because of that, Honorable Speaker, this lack of clarity has affected efficient oversight, discouraged investment, and hindered full liberalization of the Pyrethrum sector, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, what is the content of this bill when we say repeal? What is the content of a repeal bill, Honorable Speaker? It is unprecedented. I've been in this parliament for many years, Honorable Speaker, but I think this is the time that we are doing this and actually have the honor and pleasure to actually midwife a repeal, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Pyrethrum Repeal Bill 2024 therefore seeks to address this problem by repealing the Pyrethrum Act 2013 in its entirety, to write it off and remove it from the face of the Kenyan law, Honorable Speaker. The repeal is aimed at harmonizing regulations by allowing only the Crops Act 2013 and AFA Act 2013 to govern the Pyrethrum subsector. This will eliminate duplication, clarify institutional mandates, and facilitate the development of sector-specific regulations under a single legal and institutional framework, enhancing efficiency, attracting investment, and supporting the revival of the Kenyans' once thriving Pyrethrum industry. My Speaker, regulatory overlaps, ensure clarity in governance, and allow the sector to be effectively guided under the Crops Act and the AFA Act. This will unlock the full potential of Pyrethrum as a key value chain, attract investment, and improve livelihoods. I therefore urge all members to support the Pyrethrum Repeal Bill 2024 in the interest of revitalizing the industry and supporting our farmers. Honorable Speaker, I think I've made a clear case that we actually don't need this bill, that we need to repeal it and allow the AFA and the Crops Act to regulate Pyrethrum so that we can have a revitalized Pyrethrum subsector in this country, Honorable Speaker. On that point and that regard, Honorable Speaker, I want to ask the good bishop, a man of great wisdom and words, to actually support and second this bill. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. The Honorable Dr. Bishop Jackson Kosgei.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As read and as given in depth by the Deputy Majority Leader, the bill which proposes a repeal of the Act of Pyrethrum Act 340, I second, Madam Speaker. The intent and the very reason is to remove ambiguity in the operation. It makes it easier when laws are clearer and are not in duplication with other laws. It makes it efficient, it makes it productive as an entity, and Madam Speaker, it makes sense to realize that subsequent laws passed in this House are scattered for the interest which this particular act is catering for. For that, I second. Thank you.
Very well. I therefore propose the question that the Pyrethrum Repeal Bill, National Assembly Bill number 40 of 2024, be read a second time. Honorable Muliungi.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this bill by the Deputy Minority Leader of this House. Madam Speaker, I recall a crop that was called Pyrethrum, which today I don't know where it went. It used to be there long time ago, among other crops. Madam Speaker, after independence, agriculture was a pivotal part of the economy, which grew the economy of this country. But over time, crops like coffee, tea, pyrethrum, cotton, even where I come from, we used to grow cotton. We used to grow sunflower. But these crops are no longer as flourishing as they were before. And this is the time that we should relook at what went wrong, relook at our laws, relook at our act, and repeal them, and try to improve the economy of this country by reviving agriculture. And I believe this is one of the ways which our Deputy Minority Leader, the mover of this motion, has brought, so that we can revive the economy of this country through agriculture, and in particular, through growing pyrethrum. Madam Speaker, I therefore want to support this Pyrethrum Repeal Bill 2024, which intends to delete and remove Pyrethrum Act 2013 to bring it together with other crops under the Crops Act, which will now be regulating pyrethrum. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I wish where I come from, we can grow pyrethrum, we can grow coffee, we can grow tea. When I pass through Kericho, I love that environment. I wish my constituency in Lower Eastern, in Ukambani, can look like Kericho. So, Madam Speaker, I want to support this bill so that we can improve agriculture and grow the economy of this country. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I support. Thank you very much.
Very well. Member for Kiharu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to submit with a few points. One is to highlight the primacy of agriculture in our economy, Kenya, where over 70% of the rural population in Kenya is actually engaged in issues around agriculture. And our GDP, its highest weight is actually in agriculture, and especially when it comes to employment. Honorable Speaker, when you talk about Pyrethrum, we talk even in generality to all the other crops including coffee and tea. And I'm happy that with the registration that we continue to do even in this House, we continue to move away from what used to be there before, the bodies and especially marketing bodies that had been formed around Pyrethrum, tea, coffee, and all the other crops, and especially immediately after independence, was more of extractive institutions other than institutions to add value to the farmers and the stakeholders. But we have continued to move away from that, Honorable Speaker, which is a very good thing and has been happening in this House, where registration is going towards more of aggregation, putting the produce together so that we set and we source best prices together, and especially for farmers. And in that respect, everyone earns. But, Honorable Speaker, we need to understand that the economies across the world, including Kenya and the other developing countries in the global south, and even the developed, has gone through stages and are going through stages. And the stage number one, which is usually basic, is agrarian. The second one is manufacturing. And the last one being what the general world is experiencing now around technology and information, Honorable Speaker. In one of the definitions of what constitutes a developed country, Honorable Speaker, it is actually a paradox. This sounds like a paradox. That in the definition of a developed country, one of the parameters is for the agri side of the business, of the economy, the primary side of the business, and especially agriculture, to be actually less than 10% of the entire GDP. This sounds like a paradox, that even when we promote agriculture in a developing country like Kenya, one of the parameters of measuring that a country has actually developed is when we diminish the composition of agriculture in the wholesome economy, Honorable Speaker. And that happens because of many reasons. As you know, agriculture is based on something we call diminishing returns. In a country like Kenya, what we do is that we till land first where it is evidently productive. After tilling land where it is evidently productive and requires only rain-fed, which is rain-fed, Honorable Speaker, we then go to other areas that may need mechanization, may need irrigation, may need much more inputs. So what that does is that the side, Honorable Speaker, the agriculture side of the economy, Honorable Speaker, then continues to diminish in returns the more you expand production, the diminishing return way of primary production and agriculture, Honorable Speaker. And when you compare the same with manufacturing, manufacturing is hedged on what we call increasing return to scale. So that after you produce the first product, any other succeeding products are produced with much lower cost. And that is why most of the developed countries, Honorable Speaker, including a country like South Korea, a country like Japan, even the US and the UK, there is no economy anywhere in the world that became a developed country on the basis of agriculture. Agriculture has to always transition into manufacturing, Honorable Speaker, and for many reasons. Any business you do around agriculture is based on market prices, because the produce from agriculture has no differentiation. When you talk about a mango produced in Kenya or maize produced in Kenya, you can't differentiate those products from any other produced elsewhere. And therefore, the farmers and the producers are always the slaves of the market prices. And there is nothing you can do about it. Commodity prices are driven by market prices. But when you come to manufacturing, what economies do, you can have an economy producing cars, but differentiating that car from the other may actually be the basis at which prices are varied. And therefore, you can end up increasing whatever return you get from manufacturing of cars, Honorable Speaker, by just doing price differentiation. The second thing, Honorable Speaker, and I've talked about it earlier, when you engage in production that is based on increasing return, that by itself is a catalyst for you to produce more. And Honorable Speaker, therefore, what usually happens, there is a basis of mechanizing manufacturing in terms of increasing production, which also diminishes cost and also enlarges the return, by itself becomes or creates a virtuous cycle within the economy. But when you really engage so much in primary production, it creates a vicious cycle where you have to depend on seasons, you have to depend on the weather which you have no control over, you have to also depend on market prices, which you are actually made a price taker, not a price maker as a producer, which is not a very good thing. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, where the world is going, and we can only reprobe as Africa, we can only jump some of these processes, Honorable Speaker, because we are more or less an agrarian economy as Africa. We may have to leapfrog or jump a stage of manufacturing to now catch up with the other world, which is now currently in tech, and especially tech around big data and also AI. And Honorable Speaker, we have no choice other than to do that. Because yes, we need food security guaranteed through agriculture, but in terms of increasing productivity per person, you cannot increase productivity per person if you do not depart from primary production. And Honorable Speaker, just to put it into context, currently the composition of the Kenyan GDP, agriculture constitutes around 18%. Agriculture including fisheries and forestry, what we call primary production. Manufacturing, which also now includes logistics around manufacturing, constitutes just around 17%. 65% of our economy is actually service. But what is service? I'm trying just to demystify from the other ones I was talking about tech. And what is the paradox around it? That agriculture, which constitutes around 18%, employs 70% of the rural population. Then only one thing can be deduced from there. That if you are employing too much with so few, then productivity is too low. If so many people are engaged in an 18% segment of the GDP, then it means the 70% are earning too low, and therefore the productivity is too low. Basically because there is a limit at which you can mechanize agriculture, and there is a limit at which you can do increasing return to scale. Now, when you come to manufacturing, what do we actually call manufacturing in many economies in the global south? What we call manufacturing is actually agriculture value addition. Agriculture value addition meaning whatever we call manufacturing in Kenya, a bigger proportion is what adds value to what we get out of primary production. Honorable Speaker, even within manufacturing itself, we need to scale to higher levels of manufacturing. Higher levels including machinery, including higher level that requires more technology. Again, in that level, where do we play as an economy? We only play around assembly. Many times you confuse manufacturing and assembly. When you have a vehicle being assembled in Kenya, that does not constitute and cannot pass as manufacturing, Honorable Speaker. Manufacturing should go into components. Whatever you are assembling, where are they coming from, Honorable Speaker? And also, going back to the same primary production, whatever you produce in primary production and you sell it in that form, what you actually do is you are exporting to, Honorable Speaker. When you produce minerals, when you produce fisheries resources, when you produce forestry resources, and when you produce agricultural resources in raw form, and then you hand them over through export to another economy, Honorable Speaker, you are handing over increasing returns, you are handing over more productive jobs, you are handing over taxes, which would have been derived if that was done around, Honorable Speaker, and therefore you are actually handing over what is more productive in the entire value chain, Honorable Speaker. So we need to also move, that is the point I wanted to make, that even beyond primary production and manufacturing, we need now to move on the side of tech, which could be found around mostly the service industry. So that even within the service industry, which is dominant in our economy, Honorable Speaker, we move from the low-paying service industry cadre. We now scale up to what has more productivity. Because whatever we call, Honorable Speaker, a service in Kenya is more in terms of hospitality, in terms of retail and wholesale, in terms of logistics, Honorable Speaker, transportation, and the rest. But Honorable Speaker, if you look at the productivity there, because mechanization is low, productivity per person is also low. In a lump sum, Honorable Speaker, we need, even if we talk about agriculture, even if we talk about this bill, we also have to think about manufacturing, and also we have to think about the modern economy, which is now tech around big data and AI, but also without forgetting that manufacturing is the one that actually creates jobs in scale. If there was more time, Honorable Speaker, I would have given more points around even the inequalities that could be created by dominantly jumping into tech without engaging in manufacturing, but I leave that for the other members to also give their views. I submit.
Tuma, are you on this? Okay, I will call the mover to reply.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. It's also my pleasure to actually reply. And in replying, Honorable Speaker, I listened to my friend Dindi Nyoro. He now sounds like a professor in a university and gives very good lectures. I think that's the next thing you need to go to, become a professor.
He always sounds like that.
at a university. I was there and I enjoyed my time, and I think I can induct you in how to become a good professor in a university. But good ideas around the economy and around agriculture, and I appreciate you very, very much. Honorable Speaker, in reply, I want to say it's time now that we repeal this law, Honorable Speaker, the Pyrethrum law, and ensure that we enact, we allow AFA Act and the Crops Act to take precedence and actually to move the Pyrethrum sector in this country. Honorable Speaker, I want to invite members to support this this bill as it comes into the House of the Whole, so that we can very fast and very quickly breathe a new life to the Pyrethrum subsector in this country. Honorable Speaker, I reply and request that we defer the putting of the question to another appropriate time as per the standing orders of this House. I thank you.
It shall be so. The question will be put in the next appointed time. Honorable members, we have exhausted the business of the day. Be upstanding. And the time now being 6:53 p.m., this House stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 31st July 2025 at 2:30 p.m.
Hello everyone, I'm excited to introduce Bluesong, the new standard solution, 30 kilowatts and 50 kilowatts, all-in-one cabinets. Let's have a look. First, we can look in the all-in-one hybrid inverter. We put outside in cabinets, heat rejection and simpling the valuable space and simplifying the dates monitoring and service. The 50 kilowatt solution includes 10 pieces, 51.2 voltage, 280 ampere-hour packing, providing a total capacity of 100.35 kilowatt hours. The 30 kilowatt solution with 10 pieces, 51.2 volts, 106 ampere-hour lithium battery packs, totally 54.2 kilowatt hours of capacity. This outdoor all-in-one cabinet designed with the built-in air conditioner. In summer and winter, this system also working well, and 5 prevention features ensuring the safety and reliability. Additionally, we offer the variation for both indoor and outdoor all-in-one cabinets, meeting the different needs. In addition to these products, we offer the comprehensive system designer and installation service. We also covering the solar panels, racks, PV and battery cables, mounting system. Bluesong supplies the complete system solution. If you are interested in these all-in-one cabinets, welcome to contact us.
Kumbe hadi hata Sifuna ni ng'ombe tu yenye ilikuwa imetumwa na Raila Citizen TV. Ile vitu zote sarakasi yenye ilikuwa inasema ni ya Raila kujirudisha kwa serikali. Sasa leo baada ya kusoma ile brief media statement yenye amepatiwa na ODM asome, ndio nikajua kumbe ni ng'ombe takataka tu ya kutoka Bungoma yenye inatumika vibaya na watu ODM kutoka Nyanza, wenye hadi hata wajui maslahi ya Waluya. Yaani Sifuna unatumika kama ng'ombe tu, alafu nakuja kutusomea ukiwa umeogopa mbele ya watu. Yaani hadi hata ukwe mjinga ukiangalia vitu zenye Sifuna alikuwa anasoma. So utaangalia tu that the cow alikuwa anatumika to the stupid. Hadi Sifuna umetuaibisha wewe kama Waluya. Yaani hizo vitu zote na Raila anakutumia venye atarudi kwa wananchi, ndio wananchi waendelee kumwamini akitafuta njia kuwepa kwa Ruto. Stop being used. You are more than that. Very eloquent, very smart. Kutumika na ujinga kama Raila bwana.
I will take a few questions, but they have to be strictly within the discussion that has gone on today. And I see very respectable media houses here. We don't expect you to bring us rumors. That is exactly what I feared, that you would bring stories about Sifuna when I've read a statement about ODM. We want you to ask questions about ODM. It's different. Now, the position of the party, as a party leader has ably explained before, is taken after organs or meetings of the organs of the party. And this is now the position of the party. Yes, that we ensure that we put together a team that can ensure that we implement the MOU that we signed with UDA. How is that different from Sifuna's position? Let's have another question, please. Let's not do Mushene. Yes? Yeah, so that I don't put in my own words. Allow me to read you the last paragraph again. I think we have addressed that, Leto. You should pay attention to these things. We have said that while members arrived here with different viewpoints on many issues within the party and the country, the committee has managed to broker an unbreakable unity of purpose in the party and a single-minded focus on ensuring that ODM continues to be a loyal servant of the nation and committed to the agenda of national transformation and stability. That is now the position of the party. Any other question? I think wamemaliza sasa maswali yote. Haya. Asante sana. Mungu awabariki.
Yoniaje guys, I'm not that kind of so much into politics, but sometimes I look at politicians and I'm like, you know, one day I want to become a leader. And I'm asking God, if ever you will grant me that chance, may I never change to a politician. May I never at all cost change to a politician. And this is what has actually been happening for so long. You know, if you say Ruto is a bad person,